Good morning, ladies and gentlemen, and thank you for joining us for the 2021-2022 MEAC Basketball Coaches Preseason Video Conference. I am Jeff Cunningham, the Director of Media Relations, and I will serve as host and moderator for this morning's proceedings. Before we get started, I would like to turn the floor over to the Commissioner of the Mid-Eastern Athletic Conference, Dr. Dennis Thomas. Dr. Thomas, good morning, and you have the floor.
Thank you very much, Ms. Cunningham. Good morning, everybody. I hope everybody's doing extremely well. And thank everyone for being on the call this morning. First, I'd like to thank the men and women's coaches for persevering through this pandemic. And we all have been exposed to it, and it still is rearing its ugly head. And I want to thank all the head coaches for really doing a fantastic job and following the protocol and keeping your student athletes as safe and healthy as possible. I just want to do a CDC announcement for myself. I want to encourage everyone to get vaccinated, and it's very important, not only just for your person, but for your family, for others, for your staff, to ensure that we be as safe as possible from COVID-19. And that's one of the reasons we can get back to normalcy in our way of life, if we can ensure that we get as many people vaccinated as possible. And so, and that's critical. And those of you that have been vaccinated, congratulations. And they have a booster shot now. And we encourage everyone to get a booster shot. And I doubt that there's anyone that's on this call that have not been affected by COVID-19. And so I just want to encourage everyone, if you've been vaccinated, get your booster shot, and those who have not been vaccinated, get vaccinated. It's absolutely important. I'd like to thank the media for covering not only this press conference, but for covering our institutions via the print, electronic, and social media platforms. Without you, it would be very difficult for the world to know about us. So thank you very much, and continue to do that. I want to wish all of our student athletes continued success, good health, and safety. And it's critical that you continue to do well academically. And so I wish all of you the absolute best this coming season, and injury-free. And so I think that will bode well. We look forward to a really exciting year. It's going to go down to the last weekend as usual. And that's just the way it's been over my tenure, over 19 years as commissioner. So I look forward to it. Also, I just want to thank former players. We're very happy that Tony Baker from Morgan State signed on with the Bulls, Chicago Bulls, and Anthony Talk was from Coppin State, was on the Detroit Pistons Summer League roster. Just for your information, we've had over 9 former student athletes who played overseas and so professionally. So that's good as well. We've had 3 women student athletes to play professionally overseas, and we've had some other good things that have gone on this year. Morgan State, the Washington Wizards, held an open practice at the Morgan State Hill Fieldhouse, on Monday, October the 11th. And then we had Coppin State dedicated one of the MEAC legends, Coach Ron Flame Mitchell, which they dedicated the basketball floor in Coach Mitchell honor. Coach Mitchell has won many tournaments and regular season championships. His team was number 15 seed and upset number 2, University of South Carolina Gamecocks, 1997. So he is one of the best coaches in America. And I was very honored to be present during the naming of the floor after Coach Mitchell. Also, former Norfolk State great Bobby Dandridge was inducted into the Naismith Basketball Hall of Fame. All these great things that are happening in the MEAC, and we're very proud of that. So, with that in mind, again, I wish everyone the absolute best. Let's stay healthy. Let's stay safe. And let's have another tremendous men and women's basketball season. Mr. Cunningham, I'll turn it over to you. Thanks, everybody.
Thank you, Dr. Thomas. We do have time for a couple questions for the commissioner. If you have a question for Dr. Thomas, please use the raise your hand feature on your Zoom platform. And please state your name and affiliation when you are called upon. We have a question from John Title.
Good morning. Just want to know if any of NCA&T, FAMU, and Bethune-Cookman gone this year. How you think it'll affect the teams that are still around?
Oh, I think that you're going to see great basketball, John, and you will continue to see great basketball in the MEAC. And so we have tremendous teams in our conference, men and women. And so, John, I expect the coaches to put a very fine, competitive, winning championship product on the floor.
Are there any more questions for Dr. Thomas?
Yeah, Dr. Thomas, Commissioner Thomas, how you doing? This is Travis Williams with HBCU All-Stars, and I know you and I have had some conversations when I initially launched the first ever HBCU All-Stars game a few years ago when it was scheduled in 2020 at Morehouse College. So just wanted to let you know that everything is in full effect. We're scheduled to announce the HBCU All-Star game, first ever inaugural game in New Orleans, 2022 during the Final Four weekend with our partnership with CBS. And so we're looking forward to having all of our top HBCU student athletes participate in this inaugural game. And so I thank you for your support when I first reached out to you. And so it's finally going to happen. And so we're getting participation and support from the NCA, NABC, our CBS sports partner in the great city of New Orleans. So we'll be releasing that in the next few weeks. So really appreciate your support.
Yeah, thanks, Travis. Good to seeing you, and thanks for being on the call. And I'm just like George Papard of the A-Team. If you remember the A-Team, yeah. George Papard would always say, "I just love it when a plan comes together."
Thank
so
you.
I love it with you spearheading it, and we wish you continued success.
Thank you. I appreciate you.
All right.
If there are no more questions for Dr. Thomas, Commissioner, thank you for your time this morning.
All right. Thanks, everybody. Have a great one.
At this time, we will officially announce the 2021-22 preseason All-MEAC first team, preseason player of the year, and the predicted order of finish. To view the complete preseason teams for men's and women's basketball, please visit our website at meacsports.com. We will begin with the preseason first team for women's basketball. A redshirt junior guard from Coppin State, Aaliyah Lawson. A sophomore forward from Howard, Ansane Hutton. A junior guard from Morgan State, Janiah Henson. A senior guard from Morgan State, Ashia McCullough. And a graduate forward from Morgan State, Danye Red. The 2021-22 preseason player of the year in women's basketball is Danye Red of Morgan State. All awards were voted on by the league's head coaches and sports information directors, as was the predicted order of finish. Predicted to finish 8th this season with 28 points, South Carolina State. Predicted to finish 7th with 35 points, Delaware State. Predicted to finish 6th with 60 points and 2 first-place votes, Coppin State. Predicted to finish 5th with 64 points and 2 first-place votes, Maryland Eastern Shore. Predicted to finish 4th with 77 points, North Carolina Central. Predicted to finish 3rd with 91 points, Norfolk State. Predicted to finish 2nd with 108 points and 4 first-place votes, Morgan State. Predicted to win the MEAC in 2021-22 with 113 points and 8 first-place votes, Howard University. We will now unveil the preseason first team for men's basketball. A sophomore guard from Coppin State, Nenda Tark. A redshirt senior guard from Delaware State, Miles Carter. A senior guard from Morgan State, Malik Miller. A junior guard from Morgan State, Detorian Ware. And a senior guard from Norfolk State, Joe Bryant Jr. The men's preseason player of the year, as voted on by the league's head coaches and sports information directors, Detorian Ware from Morgan State. And now the predicted order of finish for men's basketball in 2021-22. Predicted to finish 8th with 24 points, Maryland Eastern Shore. Predicted to finish 7th with 39 points, South Carolina State. Predicted to finish 6th with 43 points, Delaware State. Predicted to finish 5th with 70 points, Howard. Predicted to finish 4th with 89 points and 1 first-place vote, Coppin State. Predicted to finish 3rd with 93 points and 2 first-place votes, North Carolina Central. Predicted to finish 2nd with 99 points and 3 first-place votes, Morgan State. And predicted to win the MEAC in 2021-22 with 119 points and 10 first-place votes, defending champion, Norfolk State. Once again, all of our preseason teams and predicted order of finish are available on our website at meacsports.com. Before we begin this morning, I would like to go over today's procedures. Each institution's men's and women's head coach will join us for a 15-minute question and answer session, starting with a couple of questions from the conference office. We will then turn it over to the media for questions. If you have a question for a coach, please use the raise your hand feature on your Zoom platform. And when you are called upon, please state your name and your affiliation. We ask that when you are not speaking, you have yourself on mute. And as a note, we are recording this video conference, and it will be available later on the MEAC's YouTube page on the MEAC Digital Network. We will get started this morning in Baltimore, Maryland, as we head to Coppin State University, where we are joined by women's head coach Laura Harper, and head men's basketball coach Juan Dixon. Good morning, coaches. How you doing this morning?
Good morning. Thank you for having us.
Thank you for being here.
Morning. Thank you for having us.
Thank you, Coach. This first question is for both of you. Can you give us a general vibe of your respective programs' off seasons as you continue to navigate the pandemic? We're not quite out of the woods there yet. On top of everything else that comes with running a Division I program. And Coach Harper, we'll start with you.
Perfect. For me, getting this job in a pandemic, I think that was the ultimate challenge as far as just not having the ability to recruit. So going into year 2, specifically, we're bringing in 7 new players, 4 transfers, 3 freshmen, and obviously returning Aaliyah Lawson, Jalinda Sally, Hope Evans, and someone I'm probably forgetting that's going to kill me. But we're excited just about bringing it all together and hopefully meshing as a team.
Coach Dixon?
Yes. Going off of last season, we thought we did a terrific job managing and making sure all our guys stay healthy throughout the pandemic, playing games without fans. So I think it'd be good for our student athletes to get people back in the stands, supporting them. We're extremely excited about our roster. We lost a lot in DeJuan Clayton and Anthony Tark, and we lost some guys to transfer to the transfer portal. But we're excited about the pieces we have. And, we returned Ninta Tark, who we look at to be our leader, not just on the floor, but off the floor. And, we addressed a lot of issues when it came to shooting the basketball. So we're excited about this season, get these guys competing a little bit harder on the defensive end and, see what happens.
Coach Harper, this is going to be your second season at the helm at Coppin State. What's the biggest adjustment for you from year 1 to year 2?
Well, honestly, going into year 2 with so many new faces, I think the biggest adjustment is just going to be able to get chemistry and just get adjusted with new faces. I truly believe I have the best staff one could ever ask for. So, for us, as far as scheming and being ready to put just the best product out, I'm not worried about that, but just making sure that we are putting our student athletes specifically at areas where they can thrive and be successful.
Coach Dixon, last year saw your program take a big step forward. You won a share of the Northern Division regular season title. You swept the regular season player awards. What do you need to take that next step as a program?
Well, I think as a staff, we want to continue to grow first and foremost. We were knocking on the door last year, came up a little short against a really good Morgan State team. We were extremely confident going into that tournament. We had a hiccup in the regular season when it came to us losing, I think, like 3 straight in the middle of the conference. But we're confident that, we can build off of last year. As a staff, like I said before, we want to continue to get better. We address some issues on the offensive end, and we're going to continue to compete hard defensively and do some things differently. So, hopefully our growth as a whole will allow us to have more success in the MEAC this season.
Thank you, coaches. That concludes all of my questions. We will now open it up for questions from the media. Once again, if you have a question for either Coach Harper or Coach Dixon, please use the raise hand feature on your Zoom platform. And when you are called upon, please state your name and affiliation. We have a question from John Title.
Good morning, John Title from hoopsht.com. My question is for Coach Harper. I know it's been a few years since you were a WBCA High School All-American, but I was just wondering what it meant to you to see your fellow honorees, Candace Parker and Allie Quigley, winning a WNBA title last Sunday.
For sure. Great question. I think our class in 2008 was an amazing class. People forget about still having Candace Parker and Allie and Sylvia Fowles still playing professionally at the age of 35 is really special. I think the best part about it was that they were able to bring that to their hometown. Candace, since we were kids, she's from Naperville, so that pride that she has from her area, it's amazing. And Allie played at DePaul. She went there and she shot the ball, something special that no one had ever seen. So what she did in the finals is nothing different that she's done her whole life.
We have a question from James Hill.
Good morning, everybody. Coach Dixon, can you talk a little bit about what it means for you personally to coach HBCU basketball? And obviously you bring a a phenomenal background in the game that a lot of student athletes can really take heed and follow that blueprint, if you will.
Yeah, just having an opportunity. I mean, growing up, my goal was always to play Power 5, and I was able to experience that playing at the University of Maryland for 4 years, fulfilling my dream in playing professional basketball. When I got the opportunity to have a conversation with Mr. Carter, I knew that I wanted to make my imprint at Coppin State in the HBCU community to give these young men who don't always have a great opportunity to be coached at a high level, to be mentored at a high level. So I took pride, myself and my staff, when it came to pouring into these young men, most importantly, preparing them for life, but giving them a brand of basketball that they can look at and see that we want to prepare them for something bigger than college basketball. So having this unbelievable opportunity here at this HBCU, we're under tremendous leadership here at Coppin State. I love the fact that I'm a part of this community, and I look forward to being part of this community for many, many years.
Thank you, sir. Good luck this season.
We have a question from Luke Williams.
You're muted, sir.
You're muted, Luke.
I opened the camera and then open the mic. I'm sorry. Coach Harper, please talk about, there's a lot of, I think a lot of hoop folks know about the Montverde men's basketball program. Talk a little bit about your experience with the Montverde women's basketball program and where are they in terms of nationally on the national scene for women's basketball?
Absolutely. So for many that don't know, myself and actually Delaware State head coach Easty Hill were both head coaches at Montverde Academy. So my first season there, honestly, I came in. It's a very big international hotbed for the regular students, but as a men's program, they've been, in my opinion, I was able to witness that senior class with Kay Cunningham, Scotty Barnes. I mean, watching those men play every single day in practice just encouraged me, one, to be better, and our girls to be better. So in comes Special Jennings, and she totally turns the whole place around, and now they're top of the nation. I think the tremendous work and just the love and outpouring that she put into that program, now they're along the same lines as what the boys basketball program is there. And they're going to be a force to reckon with this year.
And just a little follow-up. What is it to have two Maryland, University of Maryland coaches now at Coppin State?
Coming to Coppin State, I think the most exciting thing was to be able to experience mentorship from Juan Dixon, and knowing as a younger player, and Juan did what he did before I got to Maryland. So that was what we aspired as a women's program. So for us both to just really have the passion to work hard and to win and to be championship caliber players, and both of us were most outstanding players based on our work ethic, not our skill alone. So to have that kind of energy, that fire, that passion every single day, it's amazing. And it shows from the product, hopefully, that our student athletes put on the floor as well.
And good luck. And I have a question for Coach Dixon also. Juan, you got somebody now with you, next to you, that was an MOP at the Final Four, just like you were. Talk about what that means to have that close to you in Baltimore.
It's funny because we practice first day. Coach Harper and her team has the second slot, and I'll give a message to our team, and I talk about the passion, competing at a high level, being connected and playing together on both ends of the floor. And I'll sit down and watch her practice, and she has the exact same message, right? So I listen to her passion, her attention to detail. There's a reason why that 2006 Maryland women's basketball team were national champions, right? Because of players like Coach Harper. So I'm blessed to have a counterpart that has the same vision as we have for our men's basketball program. Her and our staff worked extremely hard. We coexist here at Coppin State, and we work extremely well together. So our goal is to bring a championship here at Coppin State on the women's side as well as the men's side. And I know she's going to do everything she needs to do to get it done, and we're going to do the same on the men's side. So we look forward to continue to support each other. And I tell her, get out there and practice with them young ladies every once in a while. I try to step out there. I practiced last week. My knee's still swollen, but we want to continue to pour and give back to our student athletes. And I couldn't ask for a better partner to do it with.
That's great, Coach. Good luck to both of you guys.
Thank you.
James Hill.
Coach Harper, congratulations on all your success. Can you just share your thoughts on being a part of the HBCU legacy in terms of coaching and the MEAC, your outlook going in and what it means to you personally? Thank you.
First, thank you very much. And, I think being a part of the HBCU community, it's about pride. It's about ownership of who I am and who I want my young women. And I'm sure Coach Dixon feels the same way about his young men to be, being an example, hoping that they can look at me and say, hey, she looks like me, she talks like me, she walks like me, and she was a national champion. And I can be that too, if I truly believe in any aspect of their life. So I think right now, specifically where we are in the world, this means everything to me. This is the best job in America that I could possibly have. And I feel as though the impact that I have daily on my student athletes is what I wake up to do and what I live for. So I wouldn't rather be anywhere else. And I'm just so grateful for Mr. Carter and President Jenkins for our support. But this is amazing. And I just really appreciate that question.
Thank you. Good luck this year in the MEAC.
Thank you.
We have time for one more question. HBCU All-Stars.
Thank you. This question is for Coach Dixon. Coach, I remember when you were in college, I was assistant coach with Lefty Giselle when y'all beat us in the final 32. That's how long I've been knowing you. But this question is basically, how has your transition been, at Coppin, but also how has the recruiting trail been going for you as far as promoting your program?
First of all, I do remember that game. That was a tough game back in 01, and you guys played really, really well, and it came down to the wire. Yeah. So thank you guys for preparing us and allowing us to play, propelling us to get to the Final Four, to let us know how hard we needed to compete. But when it comes to, being here at Coppin State, every day we strive to help our student athletes enjoy their experience here. We take pride in our brand when it comes to being part of the Coppin State community. And, every day, we try to do whatever we can do to help our young men get better. As far as recruiting, it can be challenging at times, but we have learned a lot as a staff where, we want to live in the transfer portal. For some reason, every year you got a bunch of kids in the portal. All right, and we're very fortunate to have guys like DeJuan Clayton, who had an amazing career here at Coppin State. We get a guy like Anthony Tark that's one, and you get kids like that every once in a while. It's rare that you get a kid like Anthony Tark, and we was able to prepare him for the highest level. Now he's getting an opportunity to play pro ball. So, I love what we do. My staff, we enjoy coming to work every day and grinding to help elevate our program. And just last Saturday, just being in this gym and witnessing what Fane Mitchell did for the Coppin State community, for the city of Baltimore, seeing all his former student athletes in the stands. That's what it means to be a coach, a mentor, give back, help prepare them for life. And we're in a position to do that. So, we're going to grind every day. But, guys, just to talk about Fane, it's some big shoes to fill here at Coppin State. It's my first time really witnessing him coming back, and the impact that he had on the entire student body, his student athletes, the administrators. Dr. Jenkins and his staff did an amazing job putting on a great event for Coach Fane.
Thank you, Coach.
All right, Coach Harper, Coach Dixon, thank you for joining us this morning. Continued help to you and your programs, and good luck this season.
Thank you.
Coppin State will open the 2021-22 season on Tuesday, November 9th. Both programs will be on the road. The men will be at Loyola Chicago, and the women will be at LaSalle. As we continue the 2021-22 MEAC basketball coaches preseason video conference, we now head up to Dover, Delaware, where we are now joined by first-year head women's coach E.C. Hill and first-year head men's coach Stan Waterman. Coaches, good morning. Thank you for joining us. How are you doing?
Good morning. How are you?
Doing well, doing well.
Good morning.
I'm going
Thank
to
you.
ask the same first question of you that I asked the Coppin State coaches, and maybe a little different perspective for both of you since you're both new to the program. What's the general vibe of your respective programs off seasons as you continue to navigate the pandemic on top of everything else that comes with running a Division I program?
I guess I go first, Stan.
My apologies, Coach Hill.
That's okay.
Yes.
That's okay. Well, you know what? First of all, I'm just like to say I'm really, really excited about the opportunity to coach here. This is a great job. I'm really, really excited. Basically, to navigate through the pandemic, what's still going on, I make sure I communicate with my kids to be safe and protect themselves. I'm excited that we all my team is totally vaccinated, but they still have to be smart. So I make sure I stress that every day. So and make sure they take care of themselves day in and day out, on and off the floor.
Good morning. I'll join Coach Hill first in thanking you for the opportunity to be a part of this, and certainly say that we are really, really excited about the opportunity. Under the leadership of Dr. Tony Allen and our athletic director, Alicia Gasson, we have a great protocol in place as far as the pandemic, and it's been really helpful in guiding us in navigating that. As far as preparation and that transition, it's been a busy summer, but we're working really hard and really excited about what's before us, the opportunity that is before us.
Coach Hill, what is your biggest priority coming into your first season on the bench with the women's program?
My first job is to make sure I take care of my team. We got hired, myself and Stan, kind of late this summer, so make sure that I get to know them on and off the floor and try to build some team chemistry with them. And I understand that we're trying to change the culture, and we're going to do that together. And make sure they understand that it's not going to happen overnight. It's a process, and for the most part, my kids have been doing great. They're working hard in the classroom and on the floor, and they're giving me what they can, and I love that. So each day we just try to make sure they get better in the classroom, they get ready in the basketball court, and they have been doing that, and they bought into everything I've asked them to do, and I'm really, really excited about that.
Coach Waterman, you have a long, illustrious history as a high school coach in Delaware. How do you think that will help you as you come to Delaware State and look to help rebuild that program?
Good question. I think the long history, name familiarity, knowing the state, being native born and coaching here for 29 years or so, having a really, really good understanding about what Delaware State University has been about and what the program means to the community, hopefully will be helpful to us in terms of recruiting with local kids, local players, in-state players, having the opportunity to bolster our roster with some talent that we've had some really, really fine basketball players in the state of Delaware to leave the state of Delaware. Hopefully we can keep some of those guys at home. I think basketball is basketball, certainly at the collegiate level. It's another level, but we again are really, really excited about the opportunity and looking forward to it.
Thank you, coaches. That concludes all of my questions. We will now open it up for questions from the media. Once again, if you have a question, please use the raise your hand feature on Zoom, and please state your name and affiliation when you are called upon. Once again, if you are not speaking, we ask that you place yourself on mute. Our first question is from Luke Williams.
Hi, I'm Luke Williams from the Black College Sports page. Then my first question is for Coach Waterman. Coach Waterman, I saw in your bio that you have a quote about your experience and your expertise in hoops from Jay Wright. What's your relationship with the Villanova head coach?
Thank you and good morning, Mr. Williams. Coach Wright and I have a long-standing relationship. I actually played my college basketball at the University of Delaware, so going back to when Coach Wright was at Hofstra University. But over the years, I've had the opportunity to coach some fine young high school basketball players who have gone on to have successful careers at Villanova and who played for Coach Wright. And so that's kind of where our relationship began. I also have little bit of experience with USA basketball. I've had a chance to coach the USA junior national team. And as you know, Coach Wright is also a part of the USA basketball family. And so we cross paths quite a bit.
Who are the players that you've had that played for Villanova, high school guys?
Well, I had one of my most recent players is a young man, Nana Njoku, who's there this year as a freshman. He was the Delaware State Player of the Year, and will have an opportunity. I think will help that program up with Villanova. Will Sheridan, who was a part of a Villanova team back in the early 2000s that went to the Elite Eight and had a nice career there. Jermaine Medley is also another local guy from Wilmington, Delaware. Great career at Villanova. So those are just a few of the guys. Dante DiVincenzo, who everybody knows, had that great performance in the Final Four. Again, is a Delaware kid, a kid that I had an opportunity to coach as a youngster, not on my high school team, but all guys who have gone on to play very well for Coach Jay and Villanova.
And all the state titles that you have in Delaware, what is going to have to happen? And give me an idea of how you've been able to recruit. I know you just got there only about 5-6 months ago, but how is the recruiting gone so far in terms of guys you've been able to convince to come join you?
Well, pretty interesting. As Coach Hill mentioned, we were both hired in June, so we were a little late on the recruiting trail with the opportunity to add to our roster. But I'll also say we have 10 returning players from last year's team, so we didn't have a whole lot of room to add to what we have. So we're bringing back a majority of a roster that was here. We did have one young man who was signed by the previous regime from St. Francis in Baltimore, who we like a lot, Kyrie Staten. And then we also brought in a point guard from St. Thomas More Academy in Connecticut, but also who played for me in high school. So a few years back, but we're looking forward to those guys contributing to our program as well.
And if I will have a question for Coach Hill. Coach Hill, how excited is it to have another Montverde product to be in the league with you now in terms of Coach Harper?
Well, it's a great opportunity. I say that we all built our program from the ground up. I mean, I was first, she came behind me, and now Special Jennings is doing her thing. So it's like we passed the torch around. So, but it's a great thing. It's a great opportunity that they see the girls program right there with the men in Montverde Academy.
And similarly with what I asked Coach Waterman, what about your recruiting and getting in June? What have you been able to accomplish in terms of getting kids to join you at DSU?
Well, I'm excited to mention that I just got my first verbal commitment last week. But I also inherited 9 freshmen, so there's not much room on the roster. So the players that I inherited, they're working hard and ready to go.
What's going to be the biggest challenge you think? What's going to be the biggest challenge ahead for you?
Getting kids to buy in, and they have been doing that so far. So make sure they understand that it's again, I said before, it's a process, and the things that are going to happen overnight. But they're just going to get better every day in practice. I'm fine with that. As long as I see them working and improving every day, I'm happy with that.
What's EC Hill team going to look like?
We're going to be up tempo. We're going to go out and get after it on both ends of the floor. Fun, passion, a little reflection of how I played and back in my day, long time ago. But up tempo, hard nosed, and a lot of fun.
Thanks, coaches. Good luck.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Our next question is from James Hill.
Hey, Coach EC Hill, congratulations on all of your success. Can you just share your thoughts on the renewed interest and the spotlight in women's basketball at all levels, and in particular HBCU basketball?
Well, I got to go back to what recently just happened with Don Staley's contract. That's a really, really, really huge boost to women's basketball and to gender equity. So that's the highlight right now. And she sets the tone for women's basketball across the country. And that's really, really big. So, but anytime you have the opportunity to coach at any level is great, but it's really special to me to have opportunity to coach at the HBCU. I'm an example of what they can possibly look at as a role model. I was in their seat, so even though they wasn't born, but I was in their seat, and they got to see that basketball can give you a lot of opportunities if you just keep on staying with it. And I take that very seriously. They can see and learn from me, and because I was in their shoes.
Lady Hornets basketball. You guys, before we know it, you'll be tipping off. Talk a little bit about what you want to see and so far what you see.
Yeah, as of today, we have 2 weeks for our first exhibition game in front of everyone. So I want the girls to show that they're going to have fun. They're going to play together. They're going to play, be excited about being on the floor and have the opportunity to play. I make sure I stress to them that, the pandemic cut a lot of seasons short across the country. And now we have this opportunity to play basketball, a game that we love. And we got to show that every possession. And I think they will.
Thank you, Coach. Good luck this season.
Thank
Coach,
you.
Coach Waterman, can you share your thoughts on the men's Hornets basketball team and being the captain of the ship, so to speak?
Yeah, and again, as I mentioned, I'm really, really excited about this opportunity. As I said earlier, we have 10 players returning, and there's some talent on the roster. And the goal for us has been to try to get buy-in, to get those guys to be able to play a little bit better together, to establish an identity. And as Coach Hill said, and I would echo that, to get after it on the defensive end. We hope to play an exciting brand of basketball. We want to be up-tempo, but we also want to be able to execute in the half-court situation. So those are the kinds of things that we've been working on so far this fall, being a bit more disciplined and a bit more structured, and again, having fun and playing together.
Thank you, sir. We look forward to seeing you coach this season.
Appreciate it. Thank you.
Our next question is from John Titel.
Good morning, Coach Waterman. John Titel from hoopshd.com. I think Carl asked most of my questions, but I got one left. I know you know how to be a winning coach. You've won 8 state titles in Delaware on the high school level, but can you even remember the last time you had a rebuilding project? And if so, do you have to change your coaching style at all, taking over a team that had exactly 1 Division I win last year?
Great question. And, I started and alluded to the fact that, we want to make sure that we establish and develop a culture for winning. And that may not necessarily manifest itself on the scoreboard or in terms of wins and losses this year, but making sure that we learn how to compete, that we learn how to win, that we understand what it takes to be successful. I think a lot of the principles that we had or that I utilized at Sanford School, I hope to bring with me and instill in the program at Delaware State. There's a lot of enthusiasm here in Dover. There's a buzz, no pun intended, about the men and women's program. And I think we're heading in the right direction. As I said, we've got some talent to work with, and we just have to shape it and mold it and get those guys playing together. And I think we're going to be okay.
Are there any more questions for either Coach Hill or Coach Waterman? All right, coaches, thank you for your time this morning. Good, best of health and best of luck to both of you this season.
Thank you.
Thank you. Good luck to everyone.
Delaware State will open the 2021-22 season on Tuesday, November 9th. The women will be at Stony Brook. The men will be at home against Cairn University. We now head to the nation's capital, and we're now joined by Howard University head women's basketball coach Ty Grace and head men's coach Kenny Blakeney. The Bison women went 10-2 in the MEAC last season and advanced to the title game of the MEAC basketball tournament. The Bison men played 5 games before COVID-19 brought an end to their season. Good morning, coaches. How are you doing this morning?
Good morning.
Good morning.
I'll ask the same first question of both of you that I've asked every coach so far. Give us a general vibe of your respective programs as you navigate the off-season, continue to navigate the pandemic, and everything else that goes with running a Division I program. And Coach Grace, we'll start with you.
Good morning, everyone. Thanks for having us. I guess, we're just glad that we were able to sustain as long as we did last season, and thankful that we're going into this season still safe. To echo the other coaches, my team is fully vaccinated, so we're trying to remain safe and, adhere to all the protocols that are set forth by the university. So my team's been really resilient through this whole pandemic, and hopefully we continue to be that way as we try to play this full schedule this year. So I'm just proud of them. I'm glad that, like I said, everyone's safe and we're getting an opportunity to continue to have another season.
Coach Blakeney.
Yeah, good morning, everybody. Right now, we're just grinding. We had our season cut short last year. We were 5 games in and got the call on January 1 that, a couple of our members had been affected with COVID, and it was sort of a domino effect from there. So we've had to do a lot of, I guess, rebuilding and almost starting again from scratch. I really enjoy our team. We have some great guys in. We have some older guys now with a few grad transfers, some guys that have been in the system now for a couple years, mixed with some brand new energy. So, all I can say is that I don't really know what to expect from our team, but I know it'll be a team that will play hard and will play together.
Coach Grace, after winning the Northern Division regular season last year and coming as close as you did to winning the tournament, what do you need to do to take that next step as a program?
Obviously, we were, very young last year. So, we didn't have a ton of experience. We had, our senior guard, Jayla Thornton, and, our point guard was a sophomore. So I think the experience we had last year will carry over to this year. And just getting to that point will definitely, hopefully, catapult us to get to where we want to be, which is winning a championship. And obviously, they can continue to grow together and, continue to work hard and put together the pieces that it's going to take to get to that next step.
Coach Blakeney, you sort of hit on this in your first answer, but given the way last season ended up for you and sort of the clean slate for this season, what are your goals and expectations for this year?
I mean, the goal is just to, take a step forward, hopefully have a complete season, healthy season, and see if we can improve on our first 2 years, with our record. I don't want to have these grand expectations because we haven't done it as a program yet. And we need to take steps to be able to do it and establish it. Coach Grace has done that in her program, and we're trying to follow. So it's just taking one step at a time. Our focus right now is on Virginia State. That's our exhibition on the 28th, and that's where our concentration is right now.
Thank you, coaches. That concludes all of my questions. We will now open it up for questions from the media. Once again, to ask a question, please use the raise hand feature on your Zoom profile. And please state your name and affiliation when you are called upon. We also ask that if you are not speaking, you please mute yourself. Our first question comes from Luke Williams.
Hi, Luke Williams from the Black College Sports page. This is for Coach Blakeney. Coach Blakeney, what did you learn last year about the experience with McCourt-Maker?
Well, we were very lucky and fortunate to have a 5-star caliber player be on our program, be on our campus for a year. And I think it was a terrific experience, not only for him, but for our program. It was something that, we worked really hard to achieve. And, unfortunately, because of the shutdown with COVID, we weren't able really to maximize, I think, from all angles, the experience of McCourt and also our men's basketball program. I think having McCourt here has made me a better coach. So, like I said, I think as a university, as an athletic program, and especially our basketball program, we're very grateful for that opportunity, and we wish him nothing but success as he goes through his career now in Australia.
Tell us a little bit about Dontarius James and what you kind of expect of him being on your squad.
Yeah, Dontarius is a young man that is from Kershaw, South Carolina, and it's the area and region where my mom and dad both grew up. So there's some family ties there with us. And, he spent his first 2 years at Xavier and played limited minutes there. From Xavier, he transferred to Jacksonville and had a very successful campaign there last year. There was a coaching change, and he wanted a new environment and a fresh start. And we were able to kind of get him here at Howard University. He's a young man that is truly, really intelligent, first and foremost. A very, smart guy off the court. I love having conversations with him. He's well thought of. He's very thoughtful. He has some really bright and deep, conversations with him. I just really like who he is first and foremost as a person. As a basketball player, he has a very high basketball IQ. He's a capable scorer from all three levels. He's somebody that has a great energy about him on the court. And since he's been with us, he's a guy that has defended really well. So I'm excited that he's in our program. Looking forward to seeing how things progress with him while he's here. And just
how big is he, Coach?
He's about 6'8", probably about 225.
Okay. What about the development? I got a couple more questions for you, and I'm gonna get off because I see others have. I want you to tell me a little bit about a DeMatha guy, where you came from, Steve Settle, as well as what some may consider a steal guard, a freshman guard you got named Elijah Hawkins. Could you talk about the two of them?
Yeah. Both of those guys have been really good for us early on in our practices. Steve Settle, the backstory on him is pretty phenomenal. He was a 5'9" guard when he entered DeMatha as a ninth grader, and over 4 years he grew a foot. So by the time he was a senior, he was 6'9", but he only weighed 155 pounds, I think, or 145 pounds. So he never had a chance really to get on the court at DeMatha because of his physical or lack of physicality and strength at that point in time. So we took Steve, we redshirted him for a year. The whole year he was redshirted, we played him at the point guard. Now today, Steve is 6'11". He grew 2 more inches since being with us. He's about 185 pounds. And, I think Steve has an opportunity to play at the next level. He's a guy that has 3 more years after this one, and is as skilled as you can be for, his size and his position. He can play every position on the court. We play him a lot at point guard when, our point guard, whoever that may be as the starter, isn't in. And he does a terrific job running our show. He can shoot the ball, puts it on the floor. He can make plays for others. And he's gotten better defensively and takes pride in his defense now. With his length, he does a great job of coming over in the weak side or in the help side, blocking shots. So I think the sky's the limits for him. It's going to be, from here on out, like what he puts in is what he's going to get out. So if he continues to work hard and develop his game as he's done so far, he's going to get a lot out of it. And Elijah Hawkins is going to be really good for us. He and Steve both are DeMatha guys, as Devin Richmond and Coach Rod Balanis and myself. So we have 5 DeMatha guys in our program, and knowing that DNA, Coach Grace's son is a DeMatha man, which I'm so proud of. But knowing that DNA and knowing, what Coach Wooten instilled in us and Coach Mike Jones instilled in those guys, and I played with Coach Mike Jones, and I just feel great about having those guys in our program. Elijah's he's going to be really good. He's a guy that he's probably one of the best on-ball defenders right now in college basketball, and he hasn't played a game. He's a guy that I think in the next year or two can be the defensive player of the year in college basketball. So I'm starting to talk about that now. He's a disruptor on the defensive end, and somebody with his pace that he can play at, the gear that he can play at, it can really change the way that games are the pace and the tempo of games. He is, first and foremost a floor general. So he gives us something that's a little bit different than what we've had in our program. I'm just really happy and excited he's with us at Howard.
Thanks, Coach. Good luck.
Thank you so much.
We have a question now from James Hill.
Coach Grace, can you talk a little bit about your women's program, how your workouts have been so far, your practices, and just the thought process going into that first game?
Well, it's been good. Being able to come in the summer has always been helpful. Having that opportunity for the young ladies to come in the summertime definitely kind of sets the tone for the preseason. And so everything has pretty much carried over. We had a really good summer, and then when the young ladies got back, we got right back to work after Labor Day, in our 8 hours of workouts and, individual workouts and team workouts. So, it's been going really well. Just trying to, go slow and steady, take it one day at a time. Obviously, we're reminded every day, about, last year and where we fell short and, where we're trying to be for this year. So, we just continue to, hammer home about the little things, the little details, not leaving anything out there, putting everything out on the floor and making sure we're, staying focused on what we do day to day until we get to that point, hopefully.
Awesome. Good luck this season.
Thank you.
Coach Blakeney, James Hill with BNC Sports. When you look at the history and the tradition of HU and also some of the talent you're bringing in and some of the recruits, big time recruits you've had in your program, just talk about moving this thing forward and building a winning brand at Howard.
Yeah, James, how you doing? Thank you for the question. It's really important. And, I wanted to be at Howard. When the job came available, I fought, scratched, clawed for the opportunity to be here. I got a call, it probably was like 12 years ago when I was first at Harvard as an assistant under Coach Tommy Amaker about Howard, and I immediately told him no. I didn't even want to have any conversations about the opportunity then. And, I grew up probably, 2 or 3 miles away from campus. And coming up and down Georgia Avenue for so many years, it was one of those things where I never thought that Howard as a university was serious about athletics. And having a chance to kind of, work for Coach Tommy Amaker, who took over the Harvard job, and where that job was when he took it and where it is today was something that really made me rethink what I rethink about the Howard job. He utilized the brand at Harvard to change that basketball program. And I thought that was really similar to what could happen at Howard. As you mentioned, the history, the tradition, the culture, the alums, there's so many things that I think you can build off of and take from what we've done on the academic side and utilize on the men's basketball side and on the athletic side, so that's what that's kind of been the roadmap for me, is watching and studying what Coach Tommy Amaker has done at Harvard and trying to implement a lot of those things here at Howard.
Coach, recently McCord came through your program and he's moved on. We look at the history. We could throw it back to Larry Spriggs. Howard played with the Lakers. Again, it's the tradition. Can you just get into the tradition of it a little bit more? And also just the fact that you're moving this thing forward and it's going to be some good basketball played on the Hill.
Yeah, well, the tradition, goes back to Coach A.B. Williamson and what he was able to do at Howard. And I think, what Coach Butch did when he was here was really good. And we haven't gone to the NCAA tournament since 93 or 92. I think it's 92. So there's a considerable amount of time that has lapsed since Howard has gone to the last NCAA tournament. I think there's only been maybe, 3 to 5 plus 500 seasons or 500 or above seasons in the last maybe 20 or 30 years. And those are all reasons why I thought this was a great job. You know, you can build and mold something and make it your own. And I think, you know, that's intriguing to me. I come from an entrepreneurial background. I was in private business for, you know, over 12 years, being away from the game, and have built 2 startups. And I see this as being, you know, my 3rd startup. And we're in year 3. I think you know, some things are starting to settle. You know, we've been able to kind of get some things in place. We've raised $1 million for a new practice facility for the men and women. You know, we have some renovations coming with some of the stuff for the infrastructure with our basketball programs, with offices and locker rooms in the future. So, you know, doing those kind of things where we have some bells and whistles and some things that we can share with our recruits as we're moving forward certainly helps. But you know, the main thing is we've just kind of grinded it out in the gym, and have to get to the point where we can be consistent with winning basketball games, you know, non-conference games and also in the conference.
Thank you, Coach. Good luck this season.
Thank you so much.
John Titel.
Good morning, Coach Blakeney. 2 questions. Number 1, you mentioned that Howard has not been in the tourney since '92. You certainly were there yourself. So question 1, can you imagine a college basketball universe that is 6 months away from not containing Mike Krzyzewski? Secondly, I know your focus is not on January just yet, but as an African-American man who worked for Coach Bray, is the Notre Dame game just another game on your schedule, or is it the most special game on your schedule?
John, how you doing, John? Good to talk to you. I think your first question is imagining an NCAA tournament without Coach K. No, I can't. You know, that it's kind of, you know, there's things that are very etched in stone. You know, CBS, right? One shining moment in Coach K. There's those things are consistent in college basketball. But you know, Coach has done so much and has been so good over such a long period of time. You know, he's earned this year to have this opportunity to call his own shot and go out on it on his terms is pretty cool. So I'm just thrilled and honored to say that I had a chance to play for him, and that he's a guy that is a mentor for me, and I can call on him at any point in time for anything. And I know he's there for me. So I'm happy for him. I'm happy for his family. What a terrific job he's done. And I think more importantly, you know, what a job that he's done, like molding men. He's just, you know, he's the best. And I sincerely mean that. And I get kind of emotional talking about it because it's you know, he's a guy that I've known since probably 1987. And he's been the same guy during that whole time. So I'm just so happy and proud of him, and just, you know, fortunate to say I had a chance to sit in his classroom for a number of years as a student. And I'm sorry, John, your second question.
The Notre Dame game?
Yeah, that's going to be pretty cool to have a chance to have a Power 5 university at our place. I think Coach Bray gets it. I wish other Power 5 programs would get it and take their programs to HBCUs. I see it as an educational experience. And that's the thing that Coach Bray and I both talked about. And, you know, we're very lucky. You know, I played for Coach Morgan Wooten in high school, so did he. And he had a chance to work for Coach Morgan Wooten. And, you know, the one thing Coach Wooten always talked about is how coaches are teachers and educators. And, you know, when I was talking with Coach Bray and we were going back and forth about it, we both just understood that it's really important for Notre Dame to come to Howard, to be on the campus of an HBCU, to understand the culture, the history, the tradition of what this place actually means and kind of the lexicon of the history of our country. It's a big deal for him to bring his team here. You know, if they have an opportunity, he can extend that educational experience even further by taking his team to the Black History Museum. You know, I know they have members on Congress on Capitol Hill. And you know, I know they're coming in from an ACC trip, but to bring their team to the White House, you know, so it becomes a more of an educational experience than just a basketball game. And that's what we as coaches should be trying to do, is educate and put substance into our student athletes. And like I said, I'm really excited that Notre Dame's coming, and I wish other Power 5 programs would do that, because it's, you know, for us at HBCUs, sure, the check is good, but I think having Power 5 programs on our campuses and our gym really does a hell of a lot more than taking a check. And I'm really pushing back on a lot of Power 5 schools that, you know, just want us to come in and play for a check. So I'm fighting on my ass off for all of us to see if we can get Power 5 schools to come play us at our home gym.
All right, Coach Grace, Coach Blakeney, thank you for your time this morning. Thank you for joining us. Best of health and best of success to you and your programs this season.
Thank you very much. Good luck, everyone.
Thanks, you all. Stay safe. Bye-bye.
Howard University will open its season on Tuesday, November 9th. The women will be on the road at the University of Houston. The men will be at home in Byrd Gymnasium taking on University of DC. We'll now head to Princess Anne, Maryland. We are now joined by Maryland Eastern Shore women's basketball coach Fred Batchelor and men's basketball coach Jason Crafton. Good morning, coaches. How you doing?
I was going to let Jason go first because I know he's a little quicker. He's a little younger and quicker. Jason, go ahead.
Doing great. Got my water here, my essential water. The sun is out. Great day at the shore.
Good to see you both. Coaches, I'm going to ask you the same question I've asked everybody else, but a little bit of a different spin, because the Hawks didn't play last season. It's a bit of a unique circumstance, kind of unprecedented. So what was this offseason like for your respective programs? Coach Batchelor, you can go first.
First, I'd like to say, go back a little bit and say thank you to Dr. Commissioner Thomas and his leadership. In the time I've been here, having a chance to work under him, I've learned a lot. I've appreciated his passion, his commitment, his direction of the league, and congratulate him on a well-deserved retirement. To answer your question, last year it affected a lot of people differently. I think it affected our men's basketball program a little differently than it affected ours, and the decision to not play. You know, coming off of the year we had going into COVID was probably one highlight, other than winning the championship, was probably we were on a high coming off of that conference tournament. However, I think the decision not to play really benefited us. We were able to develop our kids, teach, and build relationships, which I think were most important during the time. Once you start competing, like all coaches know, those relationships get challenged. The fact that we had a whole season to work with them, develop them, teach them, help them transition from high school to college, and deal with everything that was going on in the pandemic outside of athletics, I thought it benefited our program tremendously, and we're looking forward to getting on the floor this year.
Coach Crafton?
Yeah, appreciate you having us on. I think Coach mentioned it, you know, we were in different places. You know, I just came out of my first year and starting to infuse a foundation and a style of play and trying to get our culture kind of in place. So for us, it created a different type of challenge, you know, being new here and still trying to, you know, get this program moving forward. So we try to take advantage of it as best we could in terms of doing some creative Zoom things and having motivational speakers come in and, you know, really try to just build our guys up in different ways. We had some financial seminars to teach them how to maximize using their Pell Grant money and investing and just try to be as creative as we possibly could during that time. You know, with that being said, we did take some steps back in terms of, just building our brand from a basketball standpoint. So, we were excited to be able to have our kids back on the campus in the summertime to get the summer back a little bit, and excited to be able to, have the ability to get back and play this year.
Coach Batchelor, do you have any expectations of any sort for this coming year, considering the fact that you haven't been on the floor competitively in almost 2 years?
To say the least, our expectations are extremely high. We returned nine players from that roster a year ago that we have kind of entitled unfinished business. So we're chomping at the bit to get back on the floor, and we have very high expectations. We believe that this is going to be a very special year for our program and for our institution, and we want to take advantage of that and build off of what we started.
Coach Kraft, I posed the same question to you, knowing the differences in your program circumstances as opposed to Coach Batchelor's, and the fact that, I don't know how young your program is. Deshaun Phillip is really the only name on the roster that I remember from 2 years ago. So what are you looking for this season?
Well, we still got Kevon Voyles back, the local former Bayside Player of the Year. So those are two familiar faces that we'll have from that year. But you're right, we graduated 6 guys from my first year. And then we also had, some guys that decided to leave, last year with the turnover in terms of what was happening in that regard. So we have some older guys. When you look at our roster, you see a lot of juniors and seniors, but they're not experienced guys in terms of having played here. There's only 2 guys that have actually played a Maryland Eastern Shore basketball game versus anybody else. So I think we're still a new program in many ways that's still, going to create our niche. Recreate our niche in terms of being a tough, hard-nosed defensive program. We one of the top defensive programs in the league my first year, and we want to reestablish ourselves as being that again. We've improved our shooting, so we've got a few more guys that can make some shots. I think our first year we ran some good offense, passed the ball, moved it, everybody liked it, but the ball wouldn't go in. So hopefully we can continue with the brand of defense that we instilled in that first year, and now hopefully make some more shots on the offensive end. But it's going to be a transition because, we haven't played in a year. These guys don't have game experience playing together. So we're back in a day one type scenario. With that being said, our non-conference schedule provides a lot of opportunities for us to prepare for the MEAC schedule. We're going to use every day of that and every experience to put ourselves in the best position to be as competitive as we can become MEAC play.
Thank you, coaches. That concludes all of my questions. We will now turn it over to questions from the media. Once again, if you have a question, please use the raise hand feature on your Zoom platform, and please state your name and affiliation when you are called upon. Once again, a reminder that if you are not speaking, we ask that you please mute. Our first question comes from James Hill.
Coach Batchelor, is James Hill with BNC Sports. When you look at the time off in terms of the COVID pandemic, how the game has changed with the transfer portal and everybody getting an opportunity to play ball this year, tip off, just talk about the dynamics, how it's changed, but it's still the same game and just moving it forward.
Thanks for that question. We returned 9 kids from our roster from 2 years ago, 4 kids that actually started for us, 4 returning starters. 3 of those kids, our program has kind of been a little bit in reverse of the transfer portal. We had 3 kids that came back for their 5th year, and they're in graduate school right now. We've been able to retain our student athletes at a very, very high level. We have not been in the transfer portal at all. We've been able to grow our own in a sense, and I think it works for some programs in regard to transfer portal and taking advantage of that. And for us, though, it's been extremely beneficial just to build with young people, build a chemistry. I really love where our program is the culture of our program, and it has everything to do with our student athletes that built it. So we're really excited to get back on the floor, and with having those 9 kids return, I don't know if I've ever had 9 returners, particularly after a COVID year. It just makes it a really great opportunity to build something special within a group of kids that have been committed beyond basketball to be student athletes first, and then committed to our program and be good citizens.
So it's almost like picking off where you pick it up where you left off, that kind of thing?
Well, I looked up and we do a picture every year, a poster, and my assistant coach, who is a former UMES Lady Hawk, as well as my graduate assistant, and then my associate head coach is a former Coppin State MEAC player. It's kind of been left us to be really consistent, but the theme that they showed me was unfinished business. And we felt we were very fortunate. In all my years of coaching, I never ended a season with a win. And so we want to pick up from there. We know it's going to be challenging, not playing in a year. Our non-conference schedule it's going to take us some time to get the game chemistry back together. But who else to do it with? Who else better to do it with than 9 kids that you have been to battle with before?
Thank you, sir. Hey, a question for Coach Crafton. Is James Hill with BNC Sports. When you look at that time off, student athletes had an opportunity to go to the library, go to work, read books, write papers, and get an education. Talk about being a part of that legacy and helping young people get an education through athletics.
No question. I think historically, if you look at, I've been at some really good academic institutions in terms of Villanova, the Naval Academy, and so academics and having high GPAs and high standards for our program in terms of how guys perform in the classroom has always been important to me. And I'm happy to say we've had a consistent 3.0, since my time has been here. We even got a 3.2 when the pandemic hit that fall of when things got canceled for us last fall. So our guys did an incredible job of really kind of taking more classes instead of taking 15 credits, taking 18 credits, kind of getting ahead a little bit. And everybody for the most part got A's and B's in the summer session. So it was exciting to see them. We weren't in the library as much. There was a lot of Zoom study sessions, but I never see kids happy to get back to the library this fall and just kind of get out of Zoom study hall, and just kind of get back to some normalcy. So academics has always been huge for us. And we brought in a higher caliber of academic student, which has also raised our pedigree academically in terms of our roster and how these guys impact this campus academically. They're really engaged in academic activities and how their GPAs are. We just got midterm grades yesterday and several guys are straight A's. So I'm extremely proud of the direction we're going with our academics in terms of our roster and our people that we have in our program.
Thank you, sir. Good luck this year.
Thank you.
Our next question is from John Titel.
Good morning, Coach Crafton. John Titel from hoopshd.com. The first job you had after graduating college was for a man who was inducted into the Hall of Fame last month. 2 questions. What was the most important thing you ever learned from Jay Wright? And when are we going to see Villanova on your schedule?
We're definitely the conversation. We were supposed to do something with Villanova last year, actually. We were talking about doing an exhibition at their place and raising money for HBCUs. And then when we got shut down, it kind of got canceled out. So we were conversating about that. And then we're in some talks about potentially trying to do some stuff in the future. So you'll definitely see Villanova and Maryland Eastern Shore playing in the future. But the biggest thing I learned from Coach Wright was, the importance of the details. The details matter in everything. And really trying to create a family environment and really trying to bring alums back and trying to reconnect with them. We did some creative things with our alumni and took advantage of that COVID pandemic season to really try to upgrade our basketball alumni list. We got over 60 guys in there now. So we've reconnected with some former basketball alums, which is something that Jay taught me it was vital for them building Villanova to what it is now, making people feel a part. And also, like I said, the details. Everybody knows I'm super detail oriented, and the details matter in everything that we do. So those are the 2 biggest takeaways I take from Coach Wright.
Our next question is from Trayvon Miles.
Morning, Coach Bassler. Trayvon Miles, 47 ABC here in Salisbury. The last time we saw your program back in 2019, you guys were knocking off the top seed, Bethune-Cookman, at the MEAC tournament. How have you been able to, you speak on these 9 ladies returning, how have you been able to keep that energy and keep them, focused throughout this year and kind of wanting them to get back out there?
Thanks, Trayvon. How you doing, man? It's good to see you as always. But it's been really easy. I should say. These kids, we've been fortunate. God has really blessed us with some incredible young women and their families. So through this, you're dealing with the families a lot. We've had some tragedies that occurred during this time. We had a couple kids that didn't come back during the COVID. They came and then went back home and finished the semesters at home. They did great academically. But I think a lot of this has to go to the leadership here at University of Maryland Shore. Under Keith Davidson's leadership, we've been able to build a program that we've been able to take care of the student athletes first. And a lot of, the old adage of, tell me how much you care before you tell me how much you know, it rings so true. And I can see it very evident in this group of kids. These kids are committed. They're committed to each other. This is probably the strongest group of young women that I've had in regard to issues on and off the court. I don't know if that had anything to do with COVID, but they seem to be extremely committed to each other, committed to the program, and it's made coaching them very, very, very easy, to be honest with you. But I know that it's not easy in regard to, I truly believe we have just been blessed with some incredible young women who are committed, and they're committed to things beyond themselves. They understand that this experience is bigger than them. And we have kids that understand that, and we have families that support that. And I'm just excited to be a part of this group that allows me to lead them.
Thank you, Coach. And if I could follow up with Coach Crafton, on the flip side of this, you come out of the last time your guys played, coming off a run, and where you won 3 out of 4 during that time. How difficult has it been for you as the program leader to kind of get things back underway, where you feel like you're creating a culture just to kind of stop playing and everything just to kind of start all over?
Yeah, I think it was no doubt it was challenging. I've kind of taken a reset in terms of we're back to day one. Almost sometimes in many ways day -1, because we know that the history and the tradition here for men's basketball is not a great one. We know we're very aware of the 30-year history here of not getting it done. 20% winning percentage in a non-conference. 28% winning percentage overall. So, those factors are what have been the history of Maryland Shore men's basketball. And we did some pretty cool things, from raising up the edge of the way we defended and competing at a different level per recent years. And we didn't get a chance to capitalize off of that. So we're kind of in a restart and just reinstilling those same values that we tried to get in that first year's team, and trying to restart that same thing and get that foundation solidified in terms of being a tough, hard-nosed defensive team in a time where the game of men's basketball is changing, and keeping your rosters together becomes very challenging. And, you guys talked a little bit about the transfer portal. When we look at the transfer portal on the men's side, you see a lot of transition in the men's side. You see 10 players, in the portal for North Carolina Central. You see 9 for Coppin. You see 8 for Cookman last year. Even Central and Morgan State had 4 or 5 in the portal, So in the men's basketball side, keeping the consistency of your roster together has become more challenging. I'm really excited about the group that we have. Their chemistry and their bond through all of this, the guys that stayed and the guys that we added, has been pretty cool to see. And I really believe they're excited to get back to playing basketball and competing at the highest level that they're capable of. So that's all. That's just where we are, and I'm excited to be at the helm of this.
Thanks, guys.
Zach Parnes.
Thank you, sir. Hey, coaches. Good chatting with you here. Zach Parnes, WBOC/Delmarva Sports Network. I want to start first with Coach Batchelor. Coach, Brooklyn Bailey returning here for year 4, one of your top scorers the last time you guys played. What do you expect from her here as a senior and as a potential leader of this program?
Zach, how you doing? I'm really excited for Brooklyn. Brooklyn was one of those kids that I mentioned that went through some real tragedy during the COVID. And she went home, spent the year at home. She had her best 2 semesters in the classroom. She's returned. She's on track to graduate. We hope that we have her for another additional year, because she has another year's ability. But right now, we're just focused on this year. She's been phenomenal. She has been better than she's been. Her tempo, her confidence. The biggest challenge that I face with Brooklyn is her deciding that she wants to be the best player on the floor. And that's the thing that I have to continue to push her to be, to understand that and not be afraid of failing. She's just impressed all of us, the team, as well as the coaching staff. So we're looking forward to her having a great year, especially coming off of what she had to deal with last year. in regard to her family tragedy. And I'm just excited to have her on the floor, and I look forward to her impressing a lot of people.
Thanks, Coach. Appreciate it. Pivoting over to the men's side with Coach Crafton. Coach, I know you touched on him earlier, but Kevon Voyles being, the lone local guy on your squad right here. What do you expect from him here in year 3? He got 3 starts as a freshman, but clearly I'm sure there's more on the line here as he enters a junior year.
Oh, no question. And we've also added some more guys from the DMV on this roster. So Kevon has we actually have a team bonding crew that we label the DMV. So some DC, Maryland, and Virginia guys. But, Kevon being a local short kid, definitely had 3 starts that year. I think Kevon's grown. When you see his body, when you look at him, when the first time you see him, when we start playing, you're going to be amazed at what he's done with his body. He's really taken advantage of this extra time to get in the weight room. His conditioning is at a high level. He looks like a whole new guy. He looks like he's grown 2 inches from just how his body has developed. So we're proud of him and the physicality that he's going to bring to the table as being a strong lefty power guard. We look for him to be aggressive, getting downhill. He's improved his shot selection from watching a ton of film. So he's taking better shots now. He's not just coming out trying to be a high volume shot attempt guy like he was in high school. He's taking better shots. He's developed his mid-range game. He's aggressive, taking it to the rim, and I expect him to be active on the offensive glass. He's also, as a bigger guard, he has the ability to switch and guard different guys in the perimeter. So we're really excited about him being a two-way player, somebody who can give us some scoring and also a lot of defense on the other end.
Awesome. Coach, last thing I have for you here, pretty simple. It's media day, so we got to ask questions like this. How do I pronounce Marco's last name?
Good question. I got to figure it out too. Milicevic. I might have messed it up, but
okay, cool.
Yeah.
That's why we have it recording, so we can get that later. So appreciate it, gentlemen. Good luck this season.
Thanks, sir.
Coach Batchelor, Coach Crafton, thank you for joining us this morning. Best of luck and best of health to your programs this season.
Thank you. Thanks, Jeff.
Appreciate you guys for having us.
Maryland Eastern Shore will begin the 2021-22 season on Tuesday, November 9th. Both programs will be on the road for a doubleheader at St. Joseph's. We will now make our second trip to Baltimore of the morning, as we're now joined by Morgan State women's coach Ed Davis and third-year men's coach Kevon Voyles. Good morning, coaches. How you doing? Coach Davis, Coach Voyles. Coach Voyles, I see you are on. Can you hear us?
Muted. I believe their mics are muted.
Ladies and gentlemen, apologize for the delay. We will effort to get Coach Davis and Coach Voyles to where we can hear them. There they are, coaches. Good morning, coaches. How you doing?
Good morning.
I'm sorry, I believe I just muted you guys again. My apologies.
Good morning.
Good morning, coaches. How you doing?
Good. Sorry for the technical difficulties.
That's okay. That's the world we live in now. I'm gonna start off asking you the same question I've asked everyone else to this point. Give us a general vibe of your respective programs' off seasons as you continue to navigate not only the pandemic, but everything that goes along with running a Division I program. And Coach Voyles, we'll start with you.
I'm sorry, I didn't hear the question again.
The general vibe of your program's off season as you navigate not just the pandemic, but everything that goes with running a D1 program.
I mean, we just worked business as usual. We tried to, focus out, take the pandemic out of our focus and just tried to work normally. We tried to make it as normal as possible. We didn't do anything extra or special. We just tried to make things normal around here. And work as hard as we could as coaches and players.
Coach Davis?
One of the things that worked out for us pretty well was that Dr. Scott had an outstanding protocol in place, and we probably were one of the only teams that never caught COVID throughout the year. So when we look at that from the medical standpoint and trying to keep kids on task, and I think both programs trying to work to keep the girls focused and doing the testing periodically, twice, 3 times a week, I think we just had a great opportunity to stay well and do the proper things to get us through the season.
Coach Davis, we know what the expectations probably are outside, given you had 3 members on the preseason first team, preseason player of the year, picked to finish second. What are your expectations for the season?
Well, let me start off with the 3 players that were picked. That's obviously a tribute to them, but also we thank the coaches that felt that those kids deserve those honors. But coming with that, for me, being an older coach, they're going to have to step up to the challenge. And they're going to have to get to avenues, especially during the season and also during the tournament, that other players have gotten to. And we haven't gotten through that wall yet. Like most of the teams that are coming, our expectations are to be right there with them. I'm not the type of coach that takes any team for granted, regardless of how we pick the grant or anywhere we pick to finish first, second, third, fourth, whatever. I think every team has the opportunity to do that. So my expectations academically are for them to continue down that line, COVID protocol to stay down that line, but above all, understand the honors that you've been given, but you're going to have to prove yourself to this MEAC conference that you deserve those honors.
Coach Broadus, you have a lot of the same, you're sort of in the same boat as Coach Davis, 2 preseason first teamers, preseason player of the year. You're also picked within the top 2 or 3 in the league. What are your expectations and how do you navigate that going forward?
Well, my expectations is we're shooting for the moon. Just hopefully we can fall amongst the stars. Preseason awards mean absolutely nothing to me, and trying to make sure our guys understand that as well. It's not where you start, it's where you finish. And a lot of times people get blinded by what people are saying about them and what people expect from them. We as a team have to make the expectations, put them in our rearview mirror and try to get to the top. You know, this year goes to North. I mean, they are the champs. And I know North Carolina Central has had history of winning as well, but everyone in this league is 0-0 as we start now. I mean, no one is clear cut above anyone, but you know, to be a champion, you got to go through the champions, and that's our focus. You know, I'm not worried about preseason. I was just asking Coach Davis who on our team, because he was telling me a couple guys, it's not my focus. My focus is to win games and try to win championships. So we don't care much about preseason picks and where we are. And, you know, all we care about is when it comes to March, where we are. And if we're at the top, that's where we strive to be.
Thank you, coaches. That concludes all my questions. We will now open it up for questions from the media. And our first question comes from James Hill.
Hello, it's James Hill with BNC Sports. Coach Davis, your ball club has a lot of talent. Can you just talk about cultivating that talent and coaching that team up? And again, it's all about getting through the season and last player standing in March.
Yes. I've been blessed to have teams similar to this and keeping them focused on what the objective is. And our thing is to have a steady routine every day. And it starts with practice. It starts with you understanding why practice is so important, because the 40 minutes that we get the opportunity to play, people are looking to knock you off. And I really try to embed that in their minds and in our system, that playing hard in practice will produce us where we want to go and hopefully achieve some of our objectives. I've been blessed to also, as you said, having some great kids coming back. But again, every year you have to prove yourself. It's not like it's a given. You have to prove yourself. The biggest thing that we have to be leery of is injury. We've had some injuries early in the beginning of the preseason, and hopefully by the time we start, some of those will have been addressed. So keeping a focus in practice, keeping a focus on who you are, keeping a focus on me as the coach and what I want is very important to me as far as us moving forward, down the line here.
Thank you, Coach. Hey, Coach Broadus, it's James Hill with BNC Sports. Last time we talked, it was the MEAC championship, the tournament, the scope. Just talk a little bit about this year's outlook. And again, it's about winning games and getting to March, as you say, and producing W's every time you step on the floor.
This year, we have pieces now. The pieces we thought we were missing last year, the depth in the backcourt. And the key thing for us right now is to stay healthy and buy-in. Buy-in is the biggest thing, especially when you have a lot of new guys. And if you don't get buy-in from the new guys, it's going to offset what you're trying, your goal. And I think right now everyone's buying in because we haven't played a second of basketball. So I think we have the depth and the things that we were looking for in our new players, and hopefully our returners come back as good as they were when we left off.
Coach, recently there was an NBA team that had an opportunity to work out at Morgan. For student athletes, a lot of times they want to get an education and get to the next level. Were any of your players able to look at that experience and kind of see what they do at the next level during a workout?
Yeah, I think that both the men and the women benefited from having the Wizards here. They dropped some gems on our guys, and everyone has the dream. Like I always tell our guys, dream the dream, and the dream is to get to the next level, whether it's the NBA, overseas, or whatever. And Bradley Beal, I mean, what he told our guys and some of the ladies, if you make it to the NBA, you got to play against me, and it's not easy, and it's an everyday grind. See, we have sometimes the false perception of any and everybody can get to the NBA. And I try to explain to these guys, I've coached a lot of NBA guys. And, you got to have a hunger and you got to have some luck to get there as well. And why not here? We have a really good, talented women's team. And we have a decent, talented men's team. And Bradley Beal said, why can't the next guy come out of HBCU, come out of Morgan State? And it gives them some, hope. And I would hope all the schools do that, with the HBC movement, and invite some of these teams and players to talk to their guys because it gives them hope. And those guys will tell you the truth. They will tell you the truth. So I thought it was a positive thing having the Wizards here and, some of the scouts who come through because they're going to do their homework. And I always tell them, they're going to know what you do, your extracurricular activities, and what you do on the court. And it's not just all what you do on the court, it's what you do off the court as well.
Thank you, Coach. Good luck this season. We look forward to covering it.
Thank you.
Our next question is from Luke Williams.
Hey, my first question is for Coach Davis. Coach, how's your health?
Thank you for asking. I'm doing well. And as you asked me that, I would be remiss if I didn't thank my staff for the outstanding job that they did last year, and also the concerns that Dr. Thomas had at the time. But I've been blessed, and I'm doing well right now. Thank you for asking.
Good. And the doctors have told you, I know you're about the most competitive guy I know. They told you that you have to maybe contain some of that on the sideline.
No, they told me to be me. So, but I'm not stupid. So, but I'm definitely going to try to do the same things, but in a little different manner if I can. If you understand what I mean.
I follow you. I follow you. Good luck, Coach. Glad to have you back.
Thank you.
And Coach Broadus, you got a guy on your roster that had a lot of publicity, played at Carolina. You've got him there, seventh Woods. How do you see him fitting into what you are trying to accomplish this time around?
Seven Woods is a great individual, great person. I recruited him very hard out of high school when I was at Georgetown. Got to know him and his family, and he's a humble kid. That's the part that, apparently I missed that. I think his humbleness has really won over the whole team and his hard work. I mean, he's a great kid. And I think the way his athletic ability alone is goes without saying, is really good. It's just the person that he is off the court. I mean, he's a good student, a good person, and a good leader. He's become a leader. So I think he will help us in a lot of ways. A lot of people look at Seven and they read all about him, and they think he's going to come in this league and put up a lot of points. That's not who Seven Woods is. Seven Woods is a team leader. He runs a team. Now, he can score. Don't get me wrong, but he's going to get other guys easy baskets, and he knows that. So, it's been a gem. It's been a treat so far to coach him, and I just hope he help us get to what our goal is this year.
I know you played Ware a lot off the bench last season, and he had great production with the minutes you gave him. Do you think it's going to be more of a starting role, or is that an absolute this time around?
To be seen. I can't give you all the secrets about, Mr. Ware. He's a hell of a talent. I mean, he can really score the basketball. He can do it quick, fast, and a hurry. He, wherever he's comfortable, coming off the bench or starting, that's where we're going to play him. He is a starter in the grand scheme of things, but we have to scheme the way to get other guys too, to get them minutes. And, we got some good players alongside him. So we'll see. We'll see.
Thanks, Coach. Good luck.
Thank you. Thank you.
Our next question is from John Titel.
Good morning, Coach Broadus. John Titel from hoopshd.com. As somebody who wants to be playing for championships, I don't know, but I assume you'll have to go through Norfolk State, as will most of the conference. Part of me thinks you don't need to do a lot of tweaking because you've lost to them 6 times in a row by single digits. Part of me thinks you need to do a lot of tweaking because you're 0-6 against them. So I know they're just one team on your schedule of many teams, but what is the plan to finally beat them this year?
We got to show up first. I mean, they're a good ball club. They got a really, really good coach. It starts with him. And I don't know about tweaking. We're going to have a different scheme than we did the previous 2 years, and just hopefully it work. I mean, I'm not going to sit here and tell you, because I know Rob is probably listening and probably, ready to play against us. But I do stand to correct you. 0-6 sounds bad enough. We were 1-5 against them. We won 1 game last year against them, but here's here no there. The other ones were L's, and we're going to be honest and forthright with it. But we're just going to change our scheme plan this year. Hopefully we come out better.
All right, Coach Davis, Coach Broadus, thank you for joining us this morning. Continued good health and good luck this season.
Thank you.
Morgan State will open the 2021-22 season on Tuesday, November 9th. The men will be at home against St. Mary's of Maryland, and the women will be on the road at the University of San Francisco. Now for a trip a little closer to home, we're now joined by Norfolk State head women's basketball coach Larry Vickers and head men's coach Robert Jones. Jones Spartans are the defending MEAC basketball champions on the men's side, advancing to the NCAA tournament and winning their first 4 matchup against Appalachian State before taking on top seed Gonzaga last year. Good morning, coaches. How you doing?
Morning. Morning. How you doing?
Pretty good. I will start off with a question for both of you, the same question I've asked every coach this morning. The general vibe of your respective programs as you continue to not only navigate the pandemic, but also everything that comes along with running a Division I program. And Coach Jones, in your case, we'll start with you, the defending champions of the conference.
I mean, it's just like they said before, it's kind of business as usual. It's not nothing that we're doing anything different because of the pandemic outside of testing. We know it's a normal game plan and normal routine that we do. And the defending champs really has nothing to do with that stuff. We just want to try to do what we do.
Coach Vickers?
Well, I think for us, COVID exposes a lot. So we've had a ton of change to our roster. So for us, it's about, redeveloping culture and continuity and things like that.
Coach Vickers, you talked about the roster turnover and all that. What was your biggest priority this offseason as you go to build your program up to a championship level? Maybe get back to the level you were 2 seasons ago.
Yeah, well, we ended the COVID year pretty strong. So those last 2 years, we kind of finished second, those 2 years before COVID. So now for us, it's just about getting back there. We have 12 out of 14 kind of new players because 2 of our returning players also tore their ACL. So it's just about, kind of getting everybody acclimated and trying to do things the way, we do them, that the Spartan way, in quotes. And, so we're just trying to get back there and work every day and get a little bit better every day and kind of, build some continuity and build relationships in this process.
Coach Jones, what's it like defending a championship? You were on the staff the last time the Spartans won in 2012. You won last season. Is there more pressure from within or outside the program?
I think maybe outside, because I think within you always want to try to win a championship. Regular season championships, tournament championships, whatever it might be, you try to win as many as you can. So I think that we always put that pressure on ourselves because we want to win all the time. So it's not really about any more pressure. For me, maybe the outside world sees it as pressure. I know we got picked preseason #1 some way, somehow. I don't know how. We lost 4 starters. I don't know. That was crazy. Really, I mean, we lost 4 starters and we got 2 guys on the all MEAC team. And I know Coach Broders was, before me talking and stuff, and they got 5 guys in the Player of the Year. So I don't know how we got picked #1, but that's for another day. But there's no pressure, inside the program. We always put enough pressure on ourselves regardless.
Coaches, thank you. That concludes all my questions. We'll now open it up for questions from the media. And our first question is from John Titel.
Good morning, Coach Jones. Just wanted to know how important is Joe going to be to your team this year, and do you think he's good enough to be the best player in the conference?
Yeah, without question, I think he's good enough to be the best player in the conference. There's a lot of other good players in the conference, including, I know, even including Dontarius James, who is the preseason player of the year, but I think Joe is a very good player. I mean, he showed it in the stretch. He had 30 in the quarterfinals at the MEAC tournament. Then he had another great 16-point game and another 16 in the NCAA tournament. So he's shown that he can play with the best of them. The thing that happened with Joe last year is that, if you look at it, he missed like the first 5 games or 4 games, I believe. And then he was slow motion, getting back into everything because he was hurt. So once he got back going, he played the way we know he can play. And hopefully now a healthy season for Joe will take his game to the next level. So we look forward to a big season from Joe, but thank God he has some help too. So he won't be the only one.
James Hill.
Coach Vickers, it's James Hill with BNC Sports. When you look at the Lady Spartans and showing up and competing and looking to win basketball games, just talk about that mentality and just going forward this season.
Well, I didn't do them any favors with our non-conference schedule at all. So, the month of November might be a little tough for us, but heading into December, we hope to build that, like I talked about, that continuity. And, we'll know who we are as a basketball team, hopefully by the time we start in December and going into January and getting back to the top of this league. So, for us, it's just built brick by brick. And for me as a coach, just keeping imagining what it's going to look like in March, and say, hey, you got time, because we definitely want to be number one.
Thank you, sir. Good luck this year.
Thanks.
Coach Robert Jones, James Hill with BNC Sports. Your Spartans have a bullseye on their back or on their chest. When you're on top of the hill and everybody's gunning for you. Talk a little bit about that perspective. And again, is competing, and they're looking at your body of work from last year coming into this season, but just talk about your Spartans this year.
I mean, I think we always have a bullseye, honestly. I think that, we haven't been lucky enough to win a tournament championship until, last year, but we won regular season championships. I mean, as I know they flashed the graphic during the Gonzaga game. Since we've been here, we've been a top 5 conference win percentage in the country. So with that being said, I think that everybody is always gunning for you. The championship, of course, people look at that, and say that, no, you have another bullseye on your back. Like I said, I think that we've always had a bullseye. So, a lot of stuff that the pressure that the outside world is putting on us, we really don't feel, because we always put that pressure on ourselves anyway. And we know that people gun for us, year in and year out, regardless. So there's really no extra pressure, honestly.
Coach, when a gentleman shakes your hand and they walk out of NSU with the degree and they move into the game of life, talk about the satisfaction you get as a coach imparting that wisdom and knowledge on guys as they earn an education.
Well, I always say, and I'll say it here, and I've said it in other interviews, is that that's the real win. I know people look at the wins and losses on the court, and that's what you probably judged on, and how you get, hired and fired. But for me as a coach, the real win is when those guys cross that stage, or when they come back and say that, some of the lessons we try to teach them through basketball is paying off in their everyday life. Those are the real wins. So crossing that stage, that's a win for us. And, for us last year, we had 5 guys cross that stage. So, we might have 17 wins on the court, but we had another 5 off the court. So, that stuff is very important to us.
Thank you, sir. We look forward to covering you this season.
Thanks.
David Hall. You're muted, David.
Hey, Rob. David Hall with the Virginian Pilot, as you know. You mentioned always having a bullseye. You're pick number 1 this time. You've been number 2 about 50 years in a row. How is it different being picked number 1?
Well, we picked number 1 a couple of years ago, so it's not the first time. And a couple of years before that too. So it's not the first time, Dave. But it is a little. I mean, like I said, we want to finish 1 anyway. I just don't think that, honestly, we should have been picked number 1. I mean, we lost 4 starters. It's like Phil Jackson had to win with Kobe and Mike, right? So I mean, it's like we don't have the best players in the league. Or anything like that. We understand the respect and we appreciate the respect, but at the same time, we're not the most talented team in the league. And those guys, if we would have had that whole team come back, I could definitely see why we would have been picked preseason 1. But we lost 4 out of 5 starters. I mean, that was cute picking us number 1.
Coach Vickers, hey, first of all, you mentioned not doing them any favors with a non-conference schedule. Why go so tough in non-conference?
Well, I'm going into year 6. Year 1, 2, and 3, it was so easy to schedule. You could go to I don't want to say the bottom of the RPI, but you could go to those 250 to 350 and they couldn't wait to come in your gym and play. That's not happening for us anymore, obviously, after the back-to-back second place finishes. And, it's a lot harder to schedule certain games now, which is about the respect. It's good people respecting our program more than they used to. So now in this class, who has nothing to do with those other classes, are forced to reap those benefits.
All right. Appreciate it, fella.
Scott Cash.
I got one for Coach Vickers first. Coach, year 6, as you just mentioned, what about coaching is the most important thing you've learned in the first 5 years?
Gosh, I try and convince my players to be coaches only because every day is literally different. It's like you do the same thing, but then you really don't. You really don't. Personalities are changing, people change, the game has changed. I've learned how to grow as a person and try to help them grow because, like I said, not too many people could say all 365 days of their job are different for 5 consecutive years. And so I think that's a blessing to obviously, have this opportunity to do something like that. I've enjoyed every step of the way.
Coach Jones, you mentioned about that graphic during the Gonzaga game and your conference record. How does that happen? What's the most important thing that goes into making that happen year after year?
I think that we have a strong culture, and I think our culture is, hard work. I think that after you play us, whether you win or lose, you're going to say those guys play hard. And, it's just getting kids to buy into the culture and also just a competitive culture. We don't take losing lightly, no matter who we playing. Even when we lost to Gonzaga, I know they were number 1 team in the country. They lost, in the championship game. It was a high moment because you're in the NCAA tournament, but also very low for us because we just realized we just got killed on national TV, and we didn't take that very lightly. And that's something that still stings with myself, the coaches, and the players. Even to this day, we almost look at it more as that loss that we had than actually getting to the tournament, because that's just the competitive nature that we have in our culture. So these guys, one thing I will say, I know I talk about the preseason number 1 thing and everything like that, but the one thing I will say is that these guys on the team do want to show that even with losing 4 starters, they can be a formidable outfit. So I do think that they have that edge. But once again, it's going to be harder. We got to get guys to mesh. We do have new guys, and the older guys are going to be in different roles. So it's going to be a whole new ball game this year. And honestly, there's a lot of good teams in the league. Morgan is good, was good, Howard is good, everyone's good. So it's going to be a fight at the end.
You've made a habit of not necessarily rebuilding, but reloading every year, but with different pieces. How difficult is that with different pieces, which is not uncommon for your program? How difficult is it to make that work, and how do you make it work?
Well, it's difficult to make it work, but I think that we try to integrate those new pieces into our culture right away. And also we try to get pieces that fit our culture right away. We try to get kids that we know are pretty hungry, that have a chip on their shoulder. Because honestly, I have a chip on my shoulder. I'm still a young coach, with a lot to prove. And so every time I'm out there, I have a chip on my shoulder. So, we want to get guys like that, and we just kind of integrate them. And we've been lucky enough that I think that we've never finished lower than 3rd, so it's been good to us, and we just want to try to keep it going.
You just said you feel like you've got a lot to prove yourself. What do you have to prove?
I just feel like that, 1 is not, good enough for me. I want to get back 4th. I want to be honestly, my biggest goal, and I think I'm sure a lot of coaches in the league goal, so it's probably just not mine, but I'll say it publicly. I want to be the first HBCU to get to the Sweet 16. I think that, I've been a part of, obviously the Missouri win. I was an associate head coach then. And, last year when we got a win, in the NCAA tournament. So I've already been part of wins in the NCAA tournament. I want to be the first school to try to win 2. So I think that's what I want to prove. I want to prove that I can do it, that the HBCUs can do it, that Norfolk State can do it. So I think that I still have a lot to prove, no matter what the conference record is and, all that great ranking in the country and all the other stuff like that. I'm a, pretty humble guy. I don't really try to, self-promote or do anything like that. So I'm just trying to just make sure that we're able to go out and compete. And that's my goal. I want to be the first HBCU to get to the Sweet 16.
Sounds great. We'll see you out there.
HBCU All-Stars.
Hey, Coach Jones, Coach Vickers, a quick question for both of you guys. How important is a twofold question? How important is it to have the relationships, men's and women's basketball? That's the first question, your relationship between the 2 programs. And then the second question for you, Coach Jones, is that last year during the 2020-21 season, you received numerous HBCU numerous coaching honors, etc. But to be recognized during the Final Four weekend as an HBCU National Coach of the Year with Johnny Jones, how did that feel coming from CBS Sports during the Final Four pregame show where Charles Barkley, Ernie, Clark Kellogg, Kenny Smith, they talked about that, just to be recognized during that weekend?
Vickers, you're going first. I guess I'll go.
Say for us. I have a ton of new players, and obviously our men's basketball program is so good. It's so consistent. So we've had an opportunity, like, I got a new player, Mahogany Williams. She's from Louisiana. She walks in the gym and she's like, "Where's our banner?" And I said, "Well, you gonna put it up there for us. Like, you gonna help us put it up there." So I just think their success is it just, for the whole department. That consistency is good for us all. I obviously work for Jones, and we work together for that 2012 run. And so I think just for us, it's just good when I have an idea to have somebody who I can just walk 50 feet to his office and talk about something basketball wise or X and O's wise or whatever, life wise, player wise.
Yeah, I agree. Coach Vickers, that's my guy right there, man. We worked with the same staff. He worked under me, and now he's doing great things with the women's basketball program. He was like the best man in my wedding, a couple of years ago, which ended in disaster. But he was the best man in the wedding. So that's my guy right there. But as far as you said, the numerous Coach of the Year awards. Well, yeah, it was a big honor to be on CBS and have the National HBCU Coach of the Year. Honestly, when it came across the screen, I didn't even realize it. Like my cousin from New York hit me and said, "Congratulations." I said, "Congrats for what?" And then she had a screenshot and sent it to me about the National HBCU Coach of the Year award on CBS Sports. So that was an extremely cool and humbling honor, and it was great to share it with Johnny Jones.
Dr. Cavill?
Yes, this question is for Coach Jones. I've been able to follow you over the last couple of years in terms of scheduling framework and how you've played HBCUs outside of the MEAC. So I just wanted to follow up on that. I know some of these are tournament games, but how much of that is purposeful in terms of the intent of being able to play other HBCUs outside of your conference? I know with Hampton moving to a different conference, that created a natural ability to play them maybe to some degree, but Tennessee State, obviously you also have the challenge by Chris Paul with Grambling in there. Talk a little bit about how that came together, if you would, and how much of that is purposeful, if it is.
Well, we always try to play other HBCUs if we can. A lot of times we try to play the SWAC schools. I know, because they play a lot of guarantees and things like that. It's hard to get a home and home series with them. So, it's hard to play a single game. So, a couple of years ago, we had a home and home series with Texas Southern where Mike Davis was there. So that was great for us. We played Prairie View before in the past and things like that. So this year with the Atlanta, the Gateway Invitational, that was an invite that the organizers down there, they, which I didn't know when it happened, that Norfolk State has never played Tennessee State in men's basketball. So with Tennessee State having a lot of hype around them, Master P's son and this transfer, that transfer, this transfer, they thought it would be a good game with us. So we look forward to that game. And then also it's a time to show, because even though it's it was about Norfolk State for us, it's also about the MEAC. So it's a good chance to show that the MEAC can compete against the OVC, against the Big South, against the SWAC, or wherever it might be, whether it's HBCU versus HBCU, those guys are still in a different conference and what is perceived to be a better conference in the OVC. So we want to be able to hold up the MEAC standard against the OVC. So we look forward to that game. And then with the Chris Paul thing, that was another invite situation. It was supposed to be in the Bahamas, but something happened with the venue. So they moved it to the Footprint Center in Phoenix. And Chris Paul is going to be able to attend because of the way the scheduling is. So that'll be great for our guys to play in an NBA arena for a weekend and meet Chris Paul. And also it's going to be on ESPN2, which is national exposure for our guys mid-season, not just waiting for the MEAC championship game. So it's going to be great for us, I think.
Thank you, Coach. Good luck this season.
Thank you.
Again.
Our last question comes from Stephen Gaither.
Coach Jones, how you doing today?
Hey, what's going on, Stephen?
I'm pretty good. I hope I don't ask a question that's already been asked. I got on a little late. But I did want to ask, again, you've been in this situation before with the target on your back after winning in 2012. Now you got, your guys are going to be the 100, and like you said, you got a lot of mix of new players that weren't a part of it. Do you think that's going to be a challenge getting them to understand that, they may not have been part of what happened before them, but but they're going to have to get that. They're going to get everybody's best the same night, every night. And then also, the new scheduling as far as conference goes, how do you, with the change in the amount of schools, how do you feel like that's going to impact, regular season play, which impacts seeding, which is very important?
Well, with the new guys, it has been a challenge early for them to realize, what program that they're coming into. I think that some of them, of course you recruit them saying that, hey, we won, win NCAA tournament, we beat App State and blah, all the other blah, blah, blah. And I think that people come here, they think it's going to be easy. They don't realize how hard those guys worked last year to be 17-8, to win the tournament championship, to win a NCAA tournament game. So people see it on the outside, even recruits, and they think it's going to just be like, you're just going to walk into a situation and you're going to just win. And it's not that case at all. There's a lot of hard work, dedication, and things like that go into it. So it's been a slight challenge getting some of those new guys to recognize what's going on. But I do think that we're turning the corner and, for them to understand what's going on. We had a great scrimmage over the weekend. And, I think it kind of motivated them about what we can be if we all come together and things like that. And what was the second part of the question, Steve?
Second part of this question was just with scheduling. Obviously the conference is more condensed now, less schools. I know in football that's making it kind of more exciting. For you guys, what does the condensed schedule in the MEAC mean for you all? Again, the importance of a loss, maybe a loss that maybe wouldn't have hurt you before. Will it hurt you even more, in terms of seeding or whatever? Just your thoughts on the new scheduling as the conference gels into its new mode.
Well, with you having 2 less games, yeah, every game was important before, but now every game is, I guess, super important. With not the ability to make up a loss with 2 extra games or anything like that. And then also, like I said, man, top to bottom, I'll say it again. I know you got on late. Morgan is really, really good. They're really talented. Central is good. Obviously they're well coached. Coppin is good. Howard, is the unknown, but they have some players that I know for a fact are good. Eastern Shore has got better. South Carolina State. It's top to bottom. It's not going to be like in the past sometimes that you almost knew that, hey, I can win this game, even without playing your best, honestly. It's not like that anymore. It's really condensed and everybody is good. So it's going to be a dogfight day in and day out, and anybody could be the regular season champion and anybody could be the tournament champion.
Appreciate it, Coach. Good luck this year.
Thank you.
Coach Vickers, Coach Jones, thank you for your time today. Best of luck and best of health to you and your programs this season.
Thanks.
Norfolk State will open its season with a home doubleheader on Tuesday, November 9th. The women will face Chowan University, and the men will take on Bridgewater. We'll now head down to Durham, North Carolina. We're now joined by North Carolina Central head women's basketball coach Tricia Stafford Odom and head men's basketball coach Lavelle Moten. Good afternoon, coaches. How are you doing today?
Hello, good afternoon. I'm doing well. Thank you.
All right, I'll ask you this the same question I've asked everybody. What is the vibe of your respective programs this offseason as you're continuing to not only navigate the pandemic that we're not quite out of yet, but also everything that goes along with running a Division I program? And Coach Stafford Odom, we'll start with you.
Thank you. The vibe is pretty much a little bit of hesitancy just for the unknown of what the future holds with the conference and with our game-to-game situations and obviously COVID. So everyone's bought in, but no one's certain as to how the future is going to play out.
Coach Moten. Coach Moten, are you with us?
Can't hear you, Coach.
You're not muted, but we can't hear you.
Can't hear you.
According to the screen, his mic is muted.
But it wasn't muted at first. So I don't know what was going on either, guys.
Hit the space bar, coach.
While Coach Moten continues to work through that, Coach Stafford Odom, I do have another question for you.
What you got?
What's the key? What would you say is the most important thing in your program taking the next step this season?
Can you hear me now?
Yeah, yes, Coach, we have you now.
Hey, my bad. All right. The vibe, I don't want to be that guy to waste everybody's time. The vibe is pretty much the same. We're trying to accommodate our new guys, both academically, socially, and, welcome into not only the NCCU life, but how we do within our program and the culture and just that day-to-day grind. That's what we're doing around.
Thank you, Coach. Coach Stafford Odom, back to the second question I had for you.
You know, you got to repeat that question for me, right?
My apologies. What's the most important thing for your program this season to take that next step?
I think it's to buy in on all levels, defensively and offensively, for everyone to understand that they're all here because they're equally trusted by the coaching staff. So to be confident in their skill sets and to play team basketball. We take next steps because we see success as a whole and not as individuals.
Coach Moten, given the myriad of challenges that you had last season, what are your goals and expectations for this year?
To not go through what we went through last year. that'll be a win within itself. It was crazy, to say the least, and we understand that. But last year is last year, and no matter how much we prepared for this pandemic and COVID, I think we were hit more and harder than any team in the country. And no one cares about our problems. If anything, they're glad we're having, especially in this league. So no one gonna feel sorry for you. People were happy we had those challenges, and that's the reality of it. I didn't get any Hallmark cards or feel good conversations and calls and text messages from anyone. So it's just what it is. And we just got to be able to adjust and do the best that we can and hope and pray something like that don't touch us in that situation again.
That concludes all of my questions. We'll now open it up for questions from the media. And our first question comes from Stephen Gaither.
How you doing, Coach?
What's up, Steve? I don't know if it's me or Trish. What's up, Steve?
I'm doing good. I'm doing well. Yeah, like you say, obviously, last year is a year you guys looking to put behind you and move forward. I guess, maybe it's a little bit, but you've been, you look at, your guys from your championship teams. Correct me if I'm wrong. I think pretty much everybody is gone from those teams now. Am I correct? Or you got maybe one guy left?
We have two guys, Nick Fennell and Randy Miller.
Okay. Okay, got you. Yeah. How those guys, they've seen the highs and they've seen the lows. What are you counting on for them for this year to help guide the new guys? Because again, like you always say, the players that have been there, they're not a part of that tradition, but they inherit everything that comes along with it as far as the people playing hard against you. So how are those guys, how are you leaning on them as leaders, knowing that they've been through the good times and the bad times with you all?
Right. Just basically staying on them, right? There was a time that they hadn't won a championship and someone guided them through. People forget we're only 12 years old as a program. And through that time, we've won 8 championships in 11 or 12 years, something like that. 4 regular seasons, 4 tournament, right? So there's always been a hierarchy and a level of leadership where the team has always policed themselves. Like I come in daily and I do my thing, but we have a saying that the standard is the standard around here. And that was evident last year, regardless of what you're going through, right? People still have high hopes for you. People still expect you to win tournaments if you enter a pandemic and get touched by COVID and have 5 or 6 different pauses and don't play games for 50 days and only practice 13 times as a team for the year. People still expect you, to win. So we understand that. We embrace that and we welcome those challenges and expectations, whatever they may be. And by that, I can't do it alone as a coach. It takes a basketball staff, it takes an overall collective buy in, and it takes players policing one another. The great teams that I've always been a part of, the players ran the team and not me.
And secondly, follow up to that, obviously, you got the classic spotlight games, which are a huge spotlight for you all. Just talk about what that means for the program in the school. I mean, you're a guy that's been around HBCU basketball for a long time, CIAA and MEAC, just to have the level of involvement of such high level folks in the basketball world. What does that mean to Central, to the MEAC, and then also just to HBCU basketball overall as a brand?
You're talking about that Michael B. Jordan Classic? You there,
What was
Steve?
that?
I said,
Yes,
you're
sir.
talking about the Michael B. Jordan Classic?
Michael B. Jordan, yes, sir.
Okay. That kind of came about, honestly, it came about the same time last year. Chris called me about the ESPN Why Not Us thing, right? And so we had that discussion, Chris and I, and my agent, I'm under the WME agency, right? And so my agent represents Michael B. Jordan. We got on the phone and he talked about something that he wanted to possibly do. I'm gonna be honest, I ain't really take him serious at first because I just thought in the midst of this social climate that everyone was feeling some sort of guilt and remorse and wanting to do things for Black people, right? But he was serious, he was persistent in it. And I said, well, let's do it, let's organize it. And so him and my agent, they got together. They invited 4 teams up back to his hometown in Newark, and we signed on. Anytime you have an opportunity to do something like that, and if I'm not mistaken, I think it's going to be broadcast by TNT, so it's going to be Shaq, Charles, and Kenny broadcasting the game. Anytime you have the opportunity to go to network TV, national TV, and allow the masses to see the brand, I think that's very incredible, not only for ourselves, but all of the HBCUs. We're collectively one, but individually standing on our own firm 2 feet as well. And it's just an opportunity to give them a good brand of basketball and a good representation. We're going to invite the bands and the crowd and all of that stuff, so we can have everyone can get the totality of the HBCU experience.
Gotcha. Now, it's on the same day as the Celebration Bowl, so you might have to fight Coach Oliver for the band. We'll have to see how that goes. But
yeah, we'll split. All we need is a couple of trombone players and so on and so forth, and he can have the rest, and he go get a win down there.
Appreciate it, Coach.
My man.
James Hill.
Coach LaVelle, I hope you and everybody at Central are well these days. Can you talk a little bit about your program? You've been able to build a winner. And again, it's about trophies and winning and student athletes getting an education and again, winning championships.
Yeah. When I took over the program, I think like 12 years ago, at the initial press conference, I said if we, at the time we were the worst program in the nation. We was transitioning from Division II to Division I. Average margin of victory was average margin of defeat, was 41 points a game, right? So I wasn't just a basketball coach. I was a mental health counselor, a guidance counselor, a therapist. Like I was all of the above. And I said, if we ever change this thing, then everyone has to be rowing in the same direction. Throughout the course of the years, we had an incredible chancellor, incredible support in the athletic administration department, and everyone just kind of rowed in the same direction. And the results that you speak of are the results of everyone rowing in the right direction. We have to continue that. It got difficult last year, to be completely honest. And it had nothing to do with basketball. It was just basically the pandemic, and what we went through, and we often had discussions on canceling the season. In hindsight, I should have canceled the season, right? But we had 7 or 8 seniors, so I knew I needed to give them their senior experience. So selfishly, I didn't cancel it for them, right? But internally, I knew it was best in our situation that we cancel it, because the brand that we were producing on the floor wasn't indicative of who and what we were and what we were about. And so now we just got to flush that out and just continue to move on. And I think every situation in life teaches you a lesson. And we understand the quote unquote assignment that we have, the challenges, the difficulties. Look, it's always been a bullseye on our back, right? Everywhere we go, everyone wants to beat North Carolina Central. People don't like us. People don't like me. People don't like our program. And that's fine. I'd rather be in that situation than being the other person who's not liking the individual, right? And so we understand what comes along with that. We understand the expectations, and we understand that our standard, regardless of circumstances and outcomes, will never be lowered. So we look forward to, competing in a tremendous conference and another tough year.
Coach Moten, what does HBCU basketball mean to you personally?
I always cringe when I hear people speaking on behalf of HBCU basketball, and they really don't know about the complete experience, right? And that includes everyone, right? Because just because you work at HBCU don't mean you understand the experience. Like, I'm a double product. I've been a student, player, and an employee of HBCU. So I am the product and I am the byproduct of HBCU investments, right? And so I kind of cringe when other people are kind of trying to speak on our behalf because they only check one of the boxes. And, I think in all honesty, I think is really something that needs to be discussed more. I think it's something that needs to be validated amongst the masses more. I'm way beyond someone just throwing us a bone and making us feel good. I think there needs to be an investment in programs and just righting the wrongs and the shortcomings and uplifting our HBCUs, both individually and collectively, because we have a wonderful brand, not only academically, but socially and also athletically as well. Back in the day, all of our heroes were HBCU grads. Every hero in the world that we always looked up to, they were HBCU grads, right? Whether it was the Thurgood Marshalls or Martin Luther Kings or Oprahs, whoever, right? You go into entertainment, Sean Diddy. So we already know we have something extremely exciting to not only offer the university, but offer the world. And I think that need to be capitalized.
Thank you, Coach. Coach Trish, can you talk about your club this year and the foundation that you have there at Central and using your basketball prowess to help empower student athletes?
I was actually thoroughly enjoying hearing the stories of Coach Moten and his history, because truth be told, it inspires me when he talks about him coming in and what the program was and where he's continually taking it. I mean, that's where I am. And I hear him talk about how nobody cares what you've been through. And definitely you are judged on your last performances as a coach. And I can speak on the 1920 season where we were on target to do something really, really special in my year 3. It didn't happen, but nobody cares. And like he says, people are more excited that you don't do some things than when you do it. But where we are a program that's reculturizing as well, with 8 new players, 7 returners, and some of them didn't really get the on-court experience, but everyone has seemingly bought into the fact that everybody has a part to play in our thrive and our drive to win a championship. So I'm excited that the new bodies and old bodies have adopted the mentality that it is just us trying to accomplish something, and outsiders won't help you too much. But if you commit to our brand and you commit to doing your part, then we're going to get there, and it's going to be that much sweeter.
Thank you, Coach. Good luck this year.
You're welcome. Thank you, James.
David Hall.
Hey, LaBelle, can you hear me?
Yes, I can. How you doing?
Hey, man, good to see you.
Good
You
to
said
see
no,
you,
you
man.
said there are people who don't like you. That's nonsense.
No, it's not. No, that's not necessary.
Your girl Nicole got voted. Saw that preseason.
You guys were picked third
Yeah.
in the preseason poll. Does that surprise you the way last season went? And do you almost prefer that to being picked first?
Yeah, to me, it really doesn't matter. I didn't know we were picked third until you just told me. I don't think we should be picked third. We got 10 new people, right? So what are they picking? What are they selecting that process on, right? So I never really right? What are they selecting that process on? We don't have any returning starters, right? We got 10 new individuals. What are they selecting that on, right? And so I never really paid any attention, whether it was first, second, middle, last. I really don't know how to answer it because I never really paid attention to it. And so it's news to me that you just said we were third because that's the only way I would find out. It don't matter where you start in this league. It matters where you finish. And truth be told, at the end of the day, no one remembers the preseason projections. It's only going to be one team standing. I think the preseason is cute for discussion until they throw the ball up on November 9th. And then everybody's worried about who's going to the postseason. Again, we understand what we've accomplished and established here at North Carolina Central. Maybe that ranking is based off being revered and being respected throughout the league. I don't know. You probably have to ask the people that did the selecting. But we understand we have a tremendous challenge on our hands in an incredibly difficult basketball league with amazing players and amazing coaches. And so we understand the challenge that awaits us. And we're prepared, and we'll welcome that and embrace it.
Thank you very much. Good luck to you.
Thank you.
Luke Williams.
Luke Williams, Black College Sports Page. Coach Moten, 10 new players. Everybody talks about the mass exodus from Central, but you got one guy back that you're very familiar with in Randy Miller. Talk about how Randy got back on the squad.
I think Dorothy said it best in the Wizard of Oz. There's no place like home, right? You know what happens in this generation, and I'm not specifically talking about Randy. I'm thinking other coaches in this league and other schools in this league has kind of faced similar situations. What happens in this league, and it's just the culture now. It's everywhere. It's not just this league. Is that once you achieve a certain amount of success, these kids have so many people in their ear telling them you need to go to the next level and the next level and next level and do it up there and da. And just because you've done it at this level doesn't mean you're capable of doing it at the next level. And it doesn't mean you're incapable. What it means is you found the appropriate fit for you to continue to do it. But nowadays, this environment and this culture has allowed kids to say, once I experience this amount of success, let me go somewhere else and try it here. And what happens oftentimes, they realize the grass wasn't greener over there, right? It's not all it's hyped up to be. Because after you walk into the fancy facilities, in the beautiful weight room, in the beautiful locker room, the goal is still 10 feet, and you got to put that ball in the hole the same way. So none of the aesthetic visuals can help you once you get to that level. And I think kids across the globe are starting to understand that. That's why the portal has 1,000 kids in it, right? Or more than 1,000 kids, because everyone want to exercise their right to go do it at another level. And so with Randy, he was an incredible piece for us a couple of years ago, and then he went to Indiana State, got caught up in the coaching change. Things didn't work out, and he just wasn't the same player when we had him. We utilized him a lot. We had a high usage rate for him. Out there, he was kind of just another guy, right? And so he just didn't get the looks and attempts that he got out there. And to his credit, he called and said, "Coach, I want to come back." And I've always loved him. You know what I'm saying? So it was no ill will when he left. We supported him. We actually told the coaches, "You're getting a great kid, great human being, great family, low maintenance kid." And so when he said he want to come back, we welcomed him with open arms, obviously.
Just give me a little bit about these new guys.
Still learning a lot about him, actually. It's 9 of them. So we got Alex Caldwell, who played last year, but really didn't play last year. He was a transfer from SEMO, Southeast Missouri. We got a kid I'm excited about named Eric Boone. He transferred from Georgia Southern, averaged 10 points in the Sun Belt. So incredible defender, incredible kid. We're still learning him and developing a relationship. Probably the most talented kid that, most of people have known about. He's injured right now, but he'll be back as a kid by the name of Dontarius King, transferred from College of Charleston. Had a high reputation coming out of high school, and we're fortunate to have someone of his caliber and his magnitude. So he just got to get healthy right now. Chris Monroe, a Raleigh kid, transferred from Providence. Asante Price, transferred from Georgia Tech. He's the prototype kid. So we're just trying to teach these kids how we do things. We don't care about what sweatshirt and hoodie that you formerly wore prior to coming in here. They don't get down how we get down. And what we demand, they may not demand. And that's all due respect to their program, but it's also all due respect to our program. So we're detoxing some of the non-winning ways and kind of cultivating the winning ways and cultivating our culture and creating buy-in on that.
Appreciate you, Coach. Good luck. I had a question for other coach, but I'll get 3 other hands up, so I'll pass.
Please ask her, because she deserves to know.
No, I'm laughing because he said the other coach. Yeah.
No, Coach Stafford Brown, I was going to ask you about Nicole and about your squad, but I didn't want to take up too much time with you.
It's okay. It's okay.
But you can go ahead now. We got you on the mic. Talk about Nicole and what it means to have her. Will she be the leader of your squad?
I've got a few leaders. I think leadership starts from the top first and foremost. So if I'm not on my game, then I can't expect anything else from my players. But will she be a valuable part of what we're doing on both ends of the ball? Most definitely. She's got experience in the game. She's a grad student now. She's got on-court experience, having been here and been in my system for a year. So physically, she's capable of being extremely elite. Mentally, she's changed her mindset to understand there's no role too minor for her to help us be a winning team. So in answer to your question, before I get to the next person, yeah, she's going to be all right for the Eagles.
Thanks,
Thank
Coach.
you.
Good luck.
John Titel.
Good afternoon, Coach Moten. John Titel from hoopshd.com.
Hello,
You
John.
mentioned
How you
November
doing?
9th earlier. I wanted to ask about the game 4 days later in Memphis. Have you had a chance to thank Coach Madlock for helping Penny Hardaway recruit a pair of 5-star freshmen in Amoni Bates and Jalen Duran? And are you going to ask him for any advice about facing his old team?
I probably won't. Rasheed Wallace is a really good friend of mine who's on staff, and him and I text every day for the last 20 years. So if he's not talking about the Kansas City Chiefs, he's talking about Memphis basketball. And so we have fun at it. We know what they're capable of, and we know they have approximately 10 pros on that basketball team. And that's why I scheduled the game. I wanted our guys to be thrown in the fire so we could get their attention right away and find out who we are. So it's further down the road a little bit, but I'm definitely sure I'll call Tony and text Penny and tell him to take it easy on me when I get to town, and text Rasheed to take it easy on me as well. We'll need all the sympathy and empathy, I'm sure.
Joe Measure.
Hey, Coach. Joe Mazer over at ABC 11.
Joe, what's up, my man? How you doing?
Hey, good. I'm well, thank you. Hope you are. You said 13 practices last year. Just wanted to confirm that. And is there something positive that you can take away from last season?
Yeah, we're alive. Like, we're still alive. Joe, it got to a point I thought we had a really good basketball team. I don't know if you guys remember, we played Carolina really well We were up 12, and then in the last minutes, we let it slip away. We ended up losing the game by 6 or something like that. And I thought we had a really good basketball team. And that was like on December 10th, 11th, or 12th, somewhere around that time. And then we didn't play another basketball game till early February or late January, right? We just didn't practice. We got hit with COVID. It was the 14-day periods. Our guys broke psychologically. They were in quarantine, and so they really discovered the true meaning of quarantine, right? And it's being in a room. Quarantine is kind of worse than prisoners, right? Because at least prisoners get an hour out in sunlight or around the track and walk. Like when you're in quarantine, it's just you in there. And if you, God forbid, if you got to go through it 5, 6 times, mentally they just broke. So we were approaching games. They were never in shape because once COVID touched you, you never get back in shape. And we missed so much time, and you name it, we went through it. And it was just difficult to bear. It was difficult to coach, and we didn't know what we was doing on the floor. We wasn't a team that was collective. It was just really, really difficult. So we're just essentially playing pickup basketball with some uniforms on, right? And I mentioned before, we probably should have canceled the season, but I had 7 or 8 seniors that I knew it was their victory lap. This the last time. So selfishly, I just let them continue so they could get something out of their collegiate experience.
Were you penalized by that performance last year? You said it wasn't indicative of the program, but in terms of rebuilding your roster, did you feel like that impacted you at all? Or?
Yeah, well, I told my seniors, I had 8 seniors, and they were kind of older. So I told them in November, whatever happens, we got to get the best out of this because you can't be in school 6 years, right? Like that's unfair to people trying to get scholarships and so on and so forth. So at the end of this year, we got to part ways. So let's make sure we get the most out of it. And so I told them I was proactive in communicating with them. So that didn't really have an effect on how we were going to recruit and how we were going to part ways with them and do anything of that nature, because that was already spoken in November. What we did know is just, after the Carolina game, I thought we had a really good basketball team. And the next time we touched the basketball floor was 61 days after, and we weren't really good, right? And you could just see their spirits were broken. And so whoever we played, like we were horrible. I remember playing South Carolina State, and we couldn't even get back on defense because we had never worked on it. Like when we did practice, we had coaches practicing, right? Because we only had like 6 or 7 people sometimes. The rest was in quarantine or whatever. So coaches, we were just playing half court as best that we could. So we never really got a chance to get up and down. We didn't have a press break. We were just awful, right? It was nothing no one could do about it. So we accepted it. To their credit, they went out and competed, right? And they fought because they didn't fold when many in their situation would have.
Thanks, Coach.
Dr. Cavill?
Inside the HBCU Sports Lab, this is for Coach Stafford Odom. I'm very intrigued about scheduling and wanted to understand and know your scheduling philosophy at a given time. And what does that look like and why?
Well, originally coming in 3 years ago, coming from the ACC, having played in the Pac-10, 12, those conferences, my mindset was I want to play the best because that's how I can prove we're on the right path to being the best. So I came in year 1, Oregon State, who went to the Final Four. I think I had UNC recently. The scheduling at that time was for the mindset of now I want to coach against the best so I can be recognized as one of the better coaches. So now in year 4, I still got a crazy hectic schedule. We've got Nebraska. We open up with Illinois. Some teams to be respected. I think we have VCU. And I now want to get my players to understand the next level of competition. And on my teams and my program since I've been here at Central, what I've seen is talent, but not necessarily the drive and motivation and the mentorship of how hard it takes to work and be at a level where you're competing for 40 minutes. So the mindset is to have us play teams that, trust me, I expect us to compete with. I'm not expecting that these guarantee games are guaranteeing us a loss, but my mindset is to go there to see the different levels of how teams play and compete, the different environments, so that we're well prepared to play our teams in the MEAC. And where we are now, I'm expecting to sneak and steal a couple of those games that we're not supposed to win, because I think we have the talent, skills, and mindsets to do it.
Thank you, Coach, and good luck this season.
You're welcome. I appreciate you.
No problem. Coach Moton, I want to ask you questions similar in terms of scheduling. I've noticed over the years, it seems as you purposely schedule an HBCU outside of the conference, oftentimes in the SWAC. Could you share with us what that is about, and is it purposeful, or am I reading more into that?
Sometimes it's purposeful, sometimes it's fate. We would like to get those games, but the truth of the matter is, scheduling has been nothing but a headache for us throughout the last several years, and the reason is, and I don't think it's no secret, when you become good, no one wants to play you. The first year I got the job, I couldn't return the calls fast enough about everybody wanting to play,
Yes,
right? And so now, there's an art and there's a science to scheduling. You want to put your team in the best position possible, grant them some nice travel time, make sure they're off their feet for a couple of days and so on and so forth, give them a break between this game and that game. It's like there's an art and a science that goes into it. We had to throw away the art and the science and just schedule games and make sure we met the quota of 30 or 29 games. And by doing that, we can't get any games in the state hardly, right? Unless we go through a MTE tournament, right? And so because not a lot of teams in the state is willing to play us, we can't even get games that's close to our state and, within our breadbasket on our region. So a lot of times we have to go in the Midwest or out somewhere else just to, be able to classify a game. And, there's such is life, right? And so that's what happens when your program has evolved nationally, right? And people start to revere it and respect you. And then you have to go through the buffoonery of, man, give me a call right back and we'll let you know next Monday and so on and so forth. Like, so it's the dog and pony show when they really have no obligation to play you. And so they just continue to walk you through and waste your time. And then at the last minute, tell you no, right? And so it's a headache. I don't really like dealing with it. My assistant who does the schedule, Reggie Sharp, he knows exactly what I want and what I prefer. But it always gets to a point where I just be like, man, just sign the contract. It don't matter because we just got to meet the quota. And it always starts touching before the exit time of, I think it's September or somewhere like that. So we always move at a slow pace in scheduling because we can't get games. And I'm sure other people in this league have those same challenges and difficulties ahead.
Coach, if you don't mind, I'd like one follow-up question to go a little deeper in terms of that scheduling on particular programs. I had a chance to see the first four when it happened to feature, it seemed like championship level programs when you played Texas Southern. Obviously didn't work out at that time. Has there been an opportunity to seek to reschedule them? I know coaching changed on Texas Southern side. And the other program with the rich history would be Tennessee State. This in terms of I know North Carolina Central has been Division I over a short period of time, but Tennessee State in terms of John B. Clendon, that matchup, any thoughts between those two programs being able to have some luck scheduling them?
Yeah, we've tried it, right? And to their credit, it's, like SWAC schools, they have a guaranteed money amount, financial place that they have to reach. And I don't want to speak on it, but it may be 400,000 or 500,000, 600,000, I don't know. But a lot of their non-conference, they have to go play the high majors so they can go get that money and bring it back to their programs. So like at Texas, you mentioned Texas Southern, Mike and I are good friends. When he was there, Mike played 11 guarantee games, right? So his entire non-conference was almost Power 5 schools so he could go get checks to, fund the athletic program and his basketball program. So what happens is when you're going through, it's only probably 11 or 12, non-conference games. So when you're in that mode, you're not thinking about a like opponent. And then the other thing that happens is, everyone knows somebody at another school, and everyone on the board of trustees knows someone at the board of trustees at another school. And they come up with this they have a conversation, says, well, such and such and them should play each other. But they ain't once looked at our schedule or that person's schedule, because the dates have to jive. Like it's really an art and science to it, other than saying, man, I want to play you and so on and so forth. Like everything, the sun and the moon and the stars have to align, to make it happen. So we've had those discussions with virtually everyone, and, hopefully we can, play them in the future.
I want to thank both of the coaches for sharing their perspective on scheduling. Thank you for your time. Good luck this season, Coach.
You're welcome. Thank
So
you.
much.
Coach Mo,
What up?
I love you.
I love you more.
Coach Hall, David Hall, did you have a follow-up?
Yeah, very quick one for Lavelle. You mentioned some of your older players. Among them was CJ Kaiser. How disappointed were you to see him move on, and what can Old Dominion expect out of him?
I wasn't disappointed. Like, that's the thing. I never take it personal, right? And so we actually had a conversation with CJ to go to Old Dominion. We was helping him try to get to 3 schools, right? He just had some academic things that he needed to finish, and he ended up going to Old Dominion. CJ won a championship for us, right? And so we have no ill will for a guy that helped put a banner up. If he felt like he needed to go to a higher level to prove himself, God bless him, right? He graduated. He did everything we asked him to do. He had a great experience here at North Carolina Central. He elevated himself, our program, his family. That's all we ask of him. And so he'll be one of the best guys in Conference USA. We even call and check on him sometimes. John Richardson, the assistant coach, is a dear friend of mine. And I call and check on CJ once a week. Make sure you stay on him, make sure he's doing what he's supposed to do. Because once you're part of the family, you're part of the family. That's how we take it. And so in this business of college basketball, we don't take anything personal. Well, I don't take anything personal. I've seen it all and done it all. So it's nothing a kid is going to come in my office and surprise me with anymore.
Okay, thank you, man.
Thank you.
Our last question will come from HBCU All-Stars.
All right. Can you hear me?
Yes, sir.
Okay, great. Hey, Coach Mo, just a quick question. I know pretty much the question I have, me being a former coach at 2 prestigious HBCUs, Tennessee State, Fort Valley State University, and all our HBCU colleagues here on this call, how do we get our HBCU coaches amongst each other to get together, break bread, talk about the business, talk about ways of helping each other? You have all these different conferences where our coaches are going to get this professional development. How do we come together as coaches? I understand the competitiveness, the rivalries and all that stuff, but how do we get, after that is all done, the TV's turned off, how do we get together and come together and really promote our HBCUs and promote ourselves in an authentic way professionally? How do we do that?
What's up, Chad? That's $1 million question, man. That I really don't think people are ready for the answer to, right? That's not just a basketball question. That's a question that we really have to take a look in the mirror at ourselves and assess and evaluate. Who are we really helping, right? What are we really doing with this blessing and this platform that God has given us with? I will tell you this. Society has done a great job of dangling a carrot in every industry, whether it's basketball, football, comedy, acting, rap, singing, whatever. Society has done a great job of dangling a carrot and saying, whoever gets this carrot is the person that everyone else gotta hate, right? And so oftentimes we're so competitive that when the person grabs the carrot, and we've been trying to get it for so long and they've held that carrot, we envy that person, and it manifests itself and showcases itself in other ways. And it prevents us from really being humble enough to say, how can we build and grow together? You're saying, I hate this person, I don't like this person. You don't even really know that person. All that person has done is won something that you set out to win as well. And at the end of the day, we're all super competitive, but that's where it needs to stop, right? And so if you look at it, look at the comedy industry with Kevin Hart and the lash that he takes from comedians, whether he's your type of comedian or not, that's whatever. But everybody goes at his neck and say little slick thing. He ain't funny. He ain't this and blah, 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 blah. That's because society has dangled a carrot and said, whoever gets this carrot is the man and the rest of you are nothing. And people tend to believe that. And as a result, we can't build and grow our things together. And what they soon find out is the moment you get that carrot, it don't change your life, right? It don't. Your competition really is not the guy that you're competing with at the end of the day, is what I'm saying. Your competition is really between you, and you've been blessed with a tremendous platform and a responsibility that if by chance you get this carrot, you have to grow and elevate the people that's around you and the people that helped you, because we're all standing on the shoulders of giants that sacrificed incredible things so we could be in this position. And that's how I look at it. But everybody else don't look at it, right? And I get snide comments. I hear a bunch of this stuff, and I don't pay it no mind because I'm like, all right, right? And so the envy and the jealousy kind of sets in, and that's a reality that we have to face as a people, right? And we're never on one accord, and that's what we have to do in order to not only uplift HBCU brands, our personal brand, but just uplift our people, right? The one thing I'm extremely proud of, I tell every coach that I hire, I only want you with me for 2 or 3 years. My job is to get you your dream job or help spark that to get you your dream job, right? A lot of people don't know that, but I'm not in it for all of those other reasons, because at the end of the day, I've won championships since I was 5 or 6 years old playing basketball, right? I'm 47 now, so I played sports all my life, and I won a championship every single year. So winning a championship, you love it, you don't take it for granted, but I know it don't change my life, right? And that's not the things that bring me peace and happiness. What brings me peace and happiness is using my platform, winning, and then making sure I help someone else reach their ultimate goal and destination. Everybody, that's Lavelle Moten. And if everybody don't think like that, then that's my thinking is not the right way. It's just my way, right? But I agree with you. We do all need to come together and help uplift everyone else that's before us, because that's what our ancestors did prior to.
And I appreciate you sharing that, because I just want to make sure that I clarify this point with everybody that's on this call. Now, I have a partnership with CBS Sports, and many of you know the context, what transpired all in between that. And so when I'm on these calls with CBS Sports, I'm pushing that narrative. So whatever we got to do, what we're doing during Final Four weekend has never been done in the history of the Final Four tournament.
Absolutely.
And so when I'm on the other side pushing this, I need everybody on here pushing it as well. So when there's a tweet from HBCU All-Stars in the Final Four, and on the women's side, I haven't forgot about you yet. So that's the next initiative. So I want to make sure that's clarified. It's just not the men. We want to make sure everybody gets a seat at the table. So when it's something tweeted from CBS about HBCU All-Stars, many of you see Cy Alexander on here, and many of you coached against Cy Alexander. Cy Alexander, you'll be seeing Cy Alexander at your games as my HBCU All-Stars national scouting. He's going to player selection, recruitment. We want to do it right. And we have a great opportunity during college basketball's biggest weekend and Final Four tournament championship. But we need everybody on the same page. And that question was asked because I've been in your shoes, in the trenches with you as a former HBCU coach, as a coach. So I get it. And so if you see something coming from me, don't ignore it or sigh somehow. We have to have everybody pushing in the same direction for this. So thank you. Appreciate you answering that question, Coach.
Appreciate you, boss.
All right, Coach Stafford Odom, Coach Moten, thank you for your time today. Best of luck and best of health to both you and your programs this season.
Thank you so much. And Coach Moten, if you didn't summarize Squid Game,
I've never seen it. I heard everybody talk about it.
You just summarized it in a nutshell. Thank you, everyone. Appreciate it.
All right, baby.
North Carolina Central will open the season on Tuesday, November 9th. The men will be on the road against Richmond, and the women will be on the road against Illinois. For our final coaches of the day, we will head to Orangeburg, South Carolina, where we are joined by South Carolina State women's basketball coach Audra Smith and first-year head men's basketball coach Tony Madlock. Coaches, good afternoon. Thank you for joining us today.
Good afternoon. Thank you. I guess you guys saved the best for last, right? It's not that it's in alphabetical order. Is that what it is? That's what it is, right?
Good afternoon. Yes, alphabetical order. I'll ask you the same question I've asked everybody today. And I know, Coach Madlock, this is a unique perspective for you because this is your first year. What's the general vibe of your respective programs as you navigate the off season, still dealing with COVID and everything else that goes with operating a Division I program? And Coach Madlock, we'll start with you.
Thank you guys for having me. The vibe is good here in Orangeburg at South Carolina State. Of course, being the first-time head coach, exciting times. We know COVID is real. So our guys are trying to do everything the right way. We know that all the precautions that our university has taken, and we're excited about trying to get ready for the season.
Coach Smith?
Well, a tremendous amount of excitement for us as I have a completely brand new team, with the exception of 4 returners whom unfortunately did not have a full season last year. We had to shut down in February, but very excited. Young kids that are learning, that are excited to be on the floor. A lot of the freshmen that we have on the team now didn't have a senior season. So there's a lot of excitement going on. They're ready to play more so than practice. So just working with them and helping them understand terminology and just the discipline that it takes to play at this level. But a lot of excitement, and we're really excited. And I echo Coach Matlock. We are taking every precaution. We understand that we are still in a pandemic. And so we're taking every precaution to keep our young men and young women as safe as possible. And we're hoping and praying that we're able to step onto the court and have a successful season this season.
And Coach Smith, you mentioned, all but 4 of your players are new. Given the big turnover in your roster, what's been your biggest priority in the offseason?
Well, the biggest priority has been, just keeping them engaged, helping them to understand collegiate life, because it's completely different than high school, completely different. In terms of just the workload in terms of class, and then you have weight training, and you have study table, and then you have practice, and then you have to find time to eat, and then, you got to sleep. So the biggest thing is just trying to help them with time management, and then helping them, understand the dynamics and everything that goes into being a college student athlete. So that's been the biggest, I won't say it's been a challenge, because the young ladies have really embraced it. And they're excited to be here, and they're excited to learn. They're like sponges. And I am now I thought my children are 21 and 22 years old, but now I have 16 new daughters, and I constantly get a lot of questions. There are a lot of questions, but it's good. It's good. It's great. And I enjoy it. And, they're just ready to get started. They're ready to play. We continue we have a countdown every day in terms of our first close scrimmage up into our first game and so forth. So, excuse me. So they're really excited and ready to go, and I'm excited for them. I'm excited to go as well.
Coach Madlock, what's the first step in building this program in your image?
Well, I think the first step is culture, and we talk about accountability, and we talk about discipline. Those are things that we talk about for this program every single day. Coming off of, winning 1 game last year, man, that's tough. With the COVID season and all the things that we had to go through as a program. So we're excited about, just trying to build this culture of winning.
Thank you, coaches. Those conclude my questions. We will now accept questions from the media. Our first question comes from HBCU All-Stars. Okay, hearing nothing, we will go on to James Hill.
Coach Smith, I hope you and everybody in Orangeburg are well. Can you talk about the Lady Bulldogs, your basketball team, and building young quality student athletes and young women as they become winners in the game of life?
Definitely. We talk about that all the time. We talk about the fact that, it's bigger than basketball. Basketball, I was fortunate to play, be a student athlete myself and coach for extended period, have been coaching for an extended period of time. So I constantly talk to them about, utilizing basketball as, it is a stepping stone to life. The things that you will encounter in basketball, you're going to encounter in life. You're going to work in a profession where you're going to have to work within a team. You're going to experience conflict resolution. You're going to experience, a lot of, ups and downs, with wins and losses and things of that nature, good practices, bad practices, good games, bad games, what have you. So I just try to continue to educate them on the reality of life and what they're going to face once they leave me. And in doing so, we put them in position on a daily basis to be successful. One of the main things is definitely being successful in the classroom and taking care of business in the classroom, day in and day out. And then obviously on the court. And it's been a lot of teaching. We had to be very patient because, as you've indicated, we have a very young team. So there's a lot of terminology and there's a lot of footwork and there are a lot of things that they've never heard before. So we're having to spend a lot of time doing that. But as I said, I've been in this business for a long time and I've always prided myself on having young women in the program and helping them to grow and mature and become outstanding citizens. So once they graduate, they can go on and they can pursue whatever career they want to pursue. And these young ladies are a tremendous group. They're a hardworking group. They respond very well to everything that we put out there for them. One of my young ladies just texted me in a panic today. Today is their day off. And she said, "Coach, I want to get in the gym and shoot. The gym's locked. The gym's locked." And I'm like, "It's okay. We'll get you in," which is great. Which is great. So they're hungry. They're hungry and they want to be successful. And so as part of my job, as part of the job of my assistants, who do a very good job for me, is to help to continue to encourage, to teach, to empower, and to make sure we're paying close attention. I think this is one of the biggest things coming out of COVID is that we pay very close attention to our young women's mental health. That is something that really since COVID and going back with just hearing Coach Moten talk about, with players being in quarantine and players being in isolation, that was very difficult for a lot of our players. My son, who's actually a student athlete, 2-3 times a day. That was very difficult. So we definitely pay close attention to that because we had quite a few players that were in isolation and ready to come out, or in quarantine and ready to come out, and then someone else tested, so they had to go back in. So it went from 10 days to 15 days to an additional 5 days. So it became very taxing. So now it's not, we're still in the pandemic, and thankfully, we're vaccinated, but we know we can still, contract COVID-19. We're constantly talking to our players about being safe, staying healthy, and also just paying very close attention to their mental health. And if there's anything that's going on, if they need any, additional counseling or just to sit down and have a one-on-one with myself or someone on the staff, we're always available to do that.
Thank you, Coach, and good luck this season.
Thank you.
Coach Madlock is James Hill with BNC Sports. When you look at your reservoir of basketball knowledge, your skill sets, your resume, your background, University of Mississippi Rebels, Memphis, with Penny and the guys, it's about winning. Talk about your Bulldogs basketball team and putting your stamp on this program and going out and getting W's.
Well, thanks for the question, James. I appreciate that. It's all about winning. The reason I got this job is because, the last couple of years, the program hasn't been winning at the level that they want to. So I'm excited about the possibility of coming here and trying to change that culture, because that's what it's about. It's about winning. We all know that winning solves a lot of problems. And coming from the programs that I've been to, I've been in this business for 24 years. I've been at every level from Arkansas State to UTEP to Auburn, Ole Miss, and then Memphis. So I've been at every level. I understand what it takes to win at a high level. I know what it looks like. And my job is to get these guys ready to try to compete in this league.
Coach, in closing, the pandemic, coaching through the pandemic, as seen with Memphis and, you know, in other situations, but just talk about going forward and what the challenge is with South Carolina State as you coach during the pandemic and moving forward.
Yeah, of course, like you said, that this is my first year here. So, you know, last year at Memphis, it was a struggle. You know, even though we was able to come back and find a way to win late and win the NIT championship, it was a struggle just because of, you know, not being able to practice, you know, games being missed, being rescheduled. So it was a challenge. So hopefully, you know, with all of our guys being vaccinated, with a lot of the teams, most of the teams are vaccinated. So hopefully we can get through this year without any hiccups.
Thank you, sir. Good luck in Orangeburg.
Thank you very much.
John Titel.
Good afternoon, Coach Madlock. John Titel from hoopshd.com. In December, you're going to become the final MEAC coach to face Coach Mike Krzyzewski. I was wondering, have you ever played or coached against him in the past? And can you imagine a college basketball universe without him?
No, I have not. And it's a great question. I mean, it's one thing that when I schedule this game, you know, I talk to our young men about, you know, being able to play against, you know, a great coach, Coach K, and everything he's done for college basketball, being able to go to Duke, you know, everybody, you know, all of our players, you know, of course, have grown up watching that program and me from afar, knowing it's one of the best programs in the country, going to Cameron indoors and playing in front of the crazies. So we're excited about that, and it's going to be hard imagining college basketball without Coach K.
And our final question of the day goes to HBCU All-Stars.
Thank you. Coach Matt, this is a question for Coach Madlock. Hey, I've been seeing you grinding for all these years, and I think James touched on the question early. You've been in the business for a long, long time. Why South Carolina State and HBCU?
Well, what's up, Travis, man? I appreciate the question. Hey, it's a grind, man. It's one of those deals, man. When you get in this business, like I did, you know, 24 years ago, you know, you get in this business and you always want to be a head coach, you know. And so I've had opportunities before, but when you're younger, a lot of things are more important than others. But now, as I've gotten older, 51 years old now, and I understand, hey, it's about trying to lead young men. I got a great opportunity. I've been knowing Stacy Danley, the AD here for a long time from our Auburn days. And when this job came open and we got a chance to sit down and talk and try to get some things talked about. So it's a great opportunity, man, for me to be HBCU, of course, and to finally run my own program. So I'm excited about it.
And tell us about your staff. You got a really great staff. You know, I've been knowing a number of those guys over in the business. Just tell us about your staff.
Oh, yeah, man. First of all, I got, you know, Raheem Waller, who's a former player here, played at South Carolina State back in the late 90s, won championships here. So he knows what it's about, man. And it's so important that you have somebody on the staff who's been there and done that. The young men can talk to them about different things on the university, on the yard. So that's something that's always important. Another former Bulldog, Ed Stevens, is a former player here. That was a really good player here. I kept him off the previous staff. Then I brought two guys with me from Memphis off that staff. Derek Mallison, who's our video coordinator there, who's from HBCU University, was on the coaching staff at Central. And then my Drakus Wade, who came from Memphis also, played at Arkansas, really good player there, and it was on our staff at Memphis. So I love my staff, man. These guys are grinding, they're working hard, and we're just trying to find a way to get this winning back here at South Carolina State.
Thank you, Coach.
Yes, sir.
Coach Smith, Coach Madlock, thank you for your time this afternoon. Best of luck and best of health to you and your programs this season.
Thank you.
Thank you. Have a great day.
Thank you. South Carolina State will open its season on Tuesday, November 9th. The men will be on the road against East Carolina, and the women will be on the road against Old Dominion. Ladies and gentlemen, this concludes the 2021-22 MEAC Basketball Coaches Preseason Video Conference. Before we end this video conference, the MEAC would like to thank its corporate partners. We would also like to thank our men's and women's head coaches who made time for us this afternoon and this morning. We would also like to thank the media who was in attendance, as well as the MEAC member institution sports information and media relations offices for their assistance. As always, for up-to-date news on MEAC men's and women's basketball, as well as our other 14 sponsored sports, log on to our website at meacsports.com. Also, follow the MEAC on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, and TikTok at MEAC Sports, and follow the MEAC Digital Network on YouTube. As a reminder, a recording of this video conference will be on our YouTube page in the near future. Once again, thank you for joining us for the 2021-22 MEAC Basketball Coaches Preseason Video Conference. Best of luck to all of our coaches and teams, and everybody have a great rest of your week.